Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Racekraft Simulations V8 Veterans Season 23 for the Split 2 action of Round 8 here at Daytona Road Course this evening here on both the V8 Veterans channel and the Infinity Broadcasting channel as well. I'm your commentator tonight, Hamish Munro, joined once again after quite a few weeks of us being apart. The classic duo returns as Scott Gamble joins me this evening, covering for Brett Fisher in the booth. Scotty, great to have you back for at least one round tonight for Daytona. 300Ks enduro race once again. The band's back together, but how much chaos can we find as we run around this treacherous road course here this evening? I know the last time I called a race of yours at this race, it ended in very chaotic and controversial fashion. Could it end the same tonight with Split 2?
Yeah, how you going, Hamish? And welcome to all those out on YouTube tonight. Thank you very much. Don't forget to give it a like. Yeah, it was a controversial race, that one. I'm looking forward to getting back into broadcasting you. This track, Daytona, it can really turn it on amongst drivers and is something that they split too. It's been developing all season. I've been watching it on the sidelines, Hamish, and it's been a pleasure listening to yourself commentate along with your co-commentator. It's been developing, isn't it? We're up to round 8. We're at Daytona. We've only got this and one more as a drop round left available to the drivers. So it's really important they get a good result if they want a good championship finish for the season. So really looking forward to seeing how they go about it tonight.
Yeah, and I think as well they need to, you know, if you're going to want to have a round that you don't necessarily want to drop, tonight's probably not the one. You'd want to try and do well tonight. Long race, opportunity for drivers to make mistakes, opportunity for you to take advantage of those mistakes and get some solid points on the board. We come into this round with the championship as close as it has been. There are 5 drivers within this championship hunt at the moment coming into this round. And we thought at the start of the season, Trent Allen was going to be one of them. Now, he obviously hasn't been racing most of this season, so he hasn't quite been there all throughout, but there have been some surprise packages coming out of that too. Andrew Rushworth, who's in within the hunt of the championship. Ricky Hyde, who's back in form. Matt Muggleton, Jim Caparonis, and Sean Vandermeulen as well, all within the hunt for this championship at the moment. It's on for young and old. It is on for young and old between all 5 of them. Only one of them is yet to take a race win. That is Andrew Rushworth. Can it be done tonight at Daytona? We'll have to wait and see. Now, there has been one drop round counted coming into this round. It makes Ricky Hyde the championship leader with 1 drop round counted. With 2, it makes Matt Muggleton the championship leader. So we're at a little bit of an impasse here of who to give the orange number to. I've gone with Matt because we're counting 2 drop rounds after this round as well. So Matt will have the orange number next to his name tonight. He leads the championship into this round. He's got 3 wins on the board. What more can he do to try and extend this lead, Scott? Is it he gets that 4th win and then joins the long list of drivers now who've got 4 wins in a season, or does he just have to try and maintain maybe a podium finish tonight to hopefully garner himself some good points leading into the, as I called it, wet Interlagos next week?
Yeah, it's an interesting scenario, isn't it? Because Daytona, you can be the fastest guy on track, but you'll drag the others around you, and they'll always stick with you. So if they can make a break, absolutely you go for the win. If not, it can come down to that very last lap, or in what I'd be expecting, the last sort of 3-4 laps, we'll see a bit of a showdown where there might be some jostling of positions if they're within groups to gain those final couple of places, those extra couple of points. But very, very interesting. It's going to be interesting to see how they go about it. Will the orange on the Matt Muggleton, that's a question, something I've been seeing, fare him well, give him better luck than what it did with Jim Caparonis when he was having the orange on there. He went through a stage of a bit of bad luck having that highlighted as the number 1 contender. So it'll be interesting to see how it favours Matt tonight. He's absolutely up there. You touched on a couple of other drivers driving really well. Sean Vandermeulen being super consistent. As you know, I've spoken to him in depth about consolidating your position, consolidating your races. I think that's what drivers will look to do tonight if they can't go for the victory.
Yeah, the drivers at this race is now going to benefit tonight are those drivers who have got endurance race mentalities, those who've got endurance race experience, and whether that's through the iRacing official endurance series of the Bathurst 1000 or Daytona 24 Hour, Raw Before the 24, etc., the mini list of endurance races. Those who've already got endurance mentality in their mind, they know what it's like to race in a longer race. They know what it's like to race at Daytona in a longer race, so they know how they need to approach it. Those are the drivers who are going to do particularly well. There's no time, or there is time, but there's no room for rushing in this race early. There's no point battling for positions at lap 10 when there's 43 laps to go. You're better off working with your competitors, knowing that it's better to try and get in a little draft train, draft together, bump draft down the straight, whatever it is, to try and catch the cars up ahead of you. Because as soon as you start battling, you're going to drop off from the pack ahead and you're never going to catch them again. So drivers, if they haven't brought it into tonight with that mentality and they're listening now, take it into that put that into your mentality repertoire for next time they have an endurance race here at Daytona, or if it's out at Charlotte, or if it's at Homestead, or Indianapolis or Le Mans, whatever it is. Keep that in the back of your mind, that if you can draft and work with your opponents, it will help you in the long run, because you've got to try and get to the end before you can win the race. Let's have a quick gander at this circuit though and check out the track map once again, brought to us by Jay over at SimSpeed. Massive thank you to him and the crew over there. So we trickle our way on down into Florida, not too far south of Jacksonville, not too far north of Orlando, right on the eastern coast of Florida. Of course, this is the area that's based upon the highly anticipated video game Grand Theft Auto 6 coming out next year in May. But as we look down towards Daytona Beach and in towards the wonderful Daytona Road Course, this circuit most well known, at least for this layout, for the Daytona 24 Hour through IMSA, the Raw Before the 24 as well, and then obviously the oval layout best known for the Daytona 500. It's all going to start on the main stretch at the Tri-Oval corner, right on the start-finish line. Tough night for qualifiers. If you're on the odd numbers, Scotty, and you're in towards the top of the field, it's a tough start because you're on the hardest point of the banking on the start line. Those even numbered qualifiers from second back, they're going to be at a bit more of an advantage off this start line because they're not on as tight of a banking. That is the difficulty with a standing start here. So if you can get a good start, even as pole position or third place, you can still do quite well. But the first challenge is turn one. You got to hope that drivers, as they scramble in, you don't get caught up with them, you don't get overlapped with them, because it's very easy for drivers to get spun round at one, and then the track can end up being jammed and you're having to try and go the long way around.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Turn one is crucial. There is a bit of a different line. We're in a lower aero car. It's the first time we've bought these Gen 3s 2 here. So it's a little bit of a different line to what we're used to. It's a little bit narrower, a little bit more mid-track, perhaps, getting into turn one. But getting off there, going through, you've got the curbing on the right-hand side, you've got the curbing on the left-hand side. The track narrows. Can see quite a few incidents there, Hamish, where drivers will be side by side and they'll try and squeeze for track. And that'll lead them up to turn three. Turn three, I found this round with this set, the hardest corner on the track to navigate. It just seemed that it sent you long. You really had to apply the brake pressure just right, perhaps a little bit earlier than what we're used to be able to get the rotation and the vehicle lined up to send it all the way up to turn four. But a fantastic sequence of corners there. That's what really sets your lap up. And I know we're going on a little bit here to emphasize it, but turn 1, 2, and 3, that 100% sets your lap up at Daytona.
Yeah, it does for sure. And I think that, turn 3 especially, I've noticed throughout the racing this week, a lot of drivers getting overlapped with each other, trying to go for an inside line, but they're not quite far enough up. We could see that happening again tonight. We'll have to wait and see. You mentioned the dogleg as well. Can go too wide through there, but it can end up a bit hairy. So it's questionable, but drivers are willing to go for it. Then at the West Horseshoe, turn 5, not really, unless you can get kind of the run through 4 and up onto the inside of 5, it's not quite a passing opportunity. You're then trying to follow through 6 and on the entry to the bowl, and this is where the real endurance part of this race starts, the fuel save, the tyre save, trying to work with your competitors on track. If you can tuck right into the slipstream through 7, 8, and then down towards 9 at the Le Mans chicane for the bus stop, then you can really save a whole amount of fuel across this race. It's a long race. There's a lot of fuel you can save. Turn 9 can be a passing opportunity, but your competitor, again, has to work with you on this one. They have to almost give you the space, otherwise it could end in tears. Then up through 10 on the exit. If you can maximize this exit, especially later in the race, we may see some drivers use the tactic of not wanting to go for the move yet until the last lap, because the run out of 10 and then around 11 and 12 with the slipstream can be crucial to trying to get a pass done and taking the win right on the line. It will come down to the wire. It'll come down to the checkered flag. Possibilities of safety cars can be very, very high around here. There have been a multitude of moments here at this circuit across the years when we've come racing. I remember at the night race we did quite a few seasons ago, there was a massive shunt at turn 11 on the bowl, which took out about 10 cars in it. So it's a tough track. It's one that drivers are going to have to be cautious of, and if they've got track knowledge, they're going to have to use the library's worth of knowledge that they have in their heads to remember exactly what they need to do to get passes done, but also when they need to back off and just think about another time that they could possibly go for a move.
It's an interesting one. You talked about the slipstream. There is a ton of fuel to save out there. You don't want safety cars at Daytona. It compresses the fuel. It breeds more safety cars. So drivers should be aware of that. They want to spread the field. They want to work together in their groups, get around drivers a similar pace, work with them. You talked about the overtake with the draft, Hamish, coming off turn 10 or out of the bus stop there. It is super crucial. You have to be within 2 tenths and equal or better the run out of the bus stop to get the overtake done. We touched on it before the show went live, Hamish, about the side draft and how to get it and the effects. And you mentioned a perfect example of how close you have to be to get the side draft. You almost run getting net code in these cars. You have to be very, very close to utilise that side draft effectively. And that's something I'm sure drivers have thought about, practiced throughout the week, on how to maximise that to their benefit in this race tonight.
So as drivers get out there for their warm-up session, obviously there was a slight change in time of day and weather leading up to this race. It was supposed to be a night race, then changed to be an afternoon race. So that can change some of the temps of the circuit. That can change how the setup feels at the circuit as well. It can also change how you actually attack this circuit. you'd be surprised how different it actually is and how different your lines can be at this track and your braking points when you're in the sunshine comparatively to the actual track lighting during the nighttime. So this could now maybe lead to some faster lap times from drivers, because I've found personally you can be a little bit quicker during the day, but it does depend on the temps just because you can see a little bit more of the track. But I also find as well during the night phase, you can actually get into more of a zone. I don't know why. Personally, I just find I get more in that kind of headspace of just cut consistent laps. So do we think we get a chaotic turn 1, Scott? I mean, split 2 has been, you know, it's been relatively clean all season, but we have had some big incident reports. Do we think we're on for a big incident report tonight, or do we think maybe the drivers could be a little bit calmer knowing that it is a longer race and they might just try and conserve themselves for the final few laps?
I think we're starting to see the drivers in Split 2 really develop their racecraft, their game. You know, some of these drivers are wanting to get into Split 1, and they're actually showing that they're worthy to be there. I think the guys are going to really approach this. Let's get through lap 1, let's get through lap 2, and see where we are, see where others are around them. They're carrying quite a bit of fuel, starting fuel of 80 litres tonight. So the car's going to be a little bit heavy, might bottom out here and there, especially down the straight with the banking. So they'll be aware of that, and they'll be looking to work together. They've gained a wealth of experience over the last couple of seasons, some of these drivers. They're pushing, they're ready for Split 1. So let's see how they go tonight with it.
So there's a couple of big... well, if you paid attention to not only the sign-up sheets, but also some announcements that have been made, there are 2 big moves which are coincided with each other for team changes coming into season 24 next season. The first one, which kind of crescendos, is Dean Logsdale is leaving Team AJR at the end of the season to go to 9.5 Sim Sports to be with Sean McNamara, Logan Barnett, Luke Grundell, and Sean Van der Meulen. The other one compounded with that is the replacement for Dean Logsdale. And we know that he's been teasing a move all season where he could be going, but it does actually make the most sense now that I really think about it. I know what team it is. It makes complete sense to me. It is Matt Muggleton will be replacing Dean Logsdale at Team AJR next season. He wants to finish strong for Old Mate and Sons, but we'll be able to talk about it throughout the race because, of course, we're going to get to that lull period. It's a long race, long period of time where we're going to be feeling a little bit of air. But Matt Muggleton will be moving to Team AJR next season. Will it be in Split 1 or will it be remaining in Split 2? Only time will tell. We'll get our starting grid up, though, as the drivers begin to join the grid here this evening. Sean Van der Meulen in a 9.5 Sim Sports takes pole position alongside Jim Caperonis. What a return to form for the SCR driver. The man who won the first round at Sebring up on the front row with Sean. Matt Muggleton, Andrew Rushworth in behind for your second row with Steve Lanyon and Matthew Scholes for the top 6. Chris Blanchard, Mick Clifton will then start in front of Shane Randall and Andrew Hoffman inside of the 10. A great return to form for Randall in qualifying to get a top 10 qualifying position, and good to compound his form for Andrew Hoffman to get inside the 10 as well. Matt Stoyles, he'll start alongside Ricky Hyde. A bit further down on the other top 5 in the championship. He'll have a bit of work to do tonight to get up to them. We'll see how well he can do through all of this. As we move back to the 7th row of the grid, Damon Fisher will start alongside Paul Burns with Halil Cesar and Scott Weston for your top 16. Tim Mulford, Dave Arney, Brenton O'Brien and Todd Duggan for the top 20 with Mikey Harlan, Richard Barella, Jeremy Bush and Rick Viger the top 24. That pack sounds incredibly spicy. I'll have to keep an eye on it throughout this race. Brett Fisher will start alongside Simon Haynes with Derek Lovegrove, Brett Taylor, Reese DeGoey for the top 29 cars. The only 29 cars set times in this session. Adrian Zeal, Sean Cullen did not set times. Trent Allen did join the server, but is not racing this evening. So it will be 32 cars on the grid tonight. Our race controllers, as always, David Coleman, the CRS, Jamie Dyke, the offsider for him, and then Tom Freeman in the safety car. But Van der Meulen's on pole. Could he get that elusive second win of the season here tonight, Scott?
Yeah, it's been a tough gig for the drivers to get their second or third win. We haven't seen the dominating performance like we did last season with Logan Barnett. So it's an interesting scenario. Can he do it? Yes, he could absolutely do it. He has the ability to do it. Will he be able to achieve it? He's got so many competitive drivers around him. It's going to be a tough ask. It's going to be a tough fight for all these drivers tonight. You're going to have to make sure you tick all your boxes, get your strategy right, get your pit stops right, and that will give you the best chance of being on the podium or taking the top step.
We've got a heap of chats out there as the grid time gets closer and closer to lights going up. We'll quickly run through everyone out there with us and give them a quick shout out. Sean Vandermill and Damon Fisher, Matt Muggleton, Simon Haynes, Andrew Hoffman, Jim Caparonis, Dane Palmer, Stephanie Piccoli, Wayne Sanderson out there with us. Halil Cesar out there too. Same with Dane Palmer. I think I mentioned Rick Viger as well. We also have Steve Lanyon in the chat, Brad Grant out there with us as well, Logan Barnett, last season's champion, Terry Taylor as well. So great to have you all alongside with us. Great to have you all in the chat with us as well. It's going to be a long race as lights go up for these drivers. 300 Ks are going to be coming our way for Daytona Road Course. Who is going to get the jump down towards turn number 1? Will it be Vandermeulen or Caparonis? As the revs begin to rise at Daytona. The beaches of Florida are alight with V8 supercars action. It's a horrid start from Steve Lanyon inside of the top 10. He is dropping spots, as is Damon Fisher, as drivers begin to enter turn number 1. Who is going to get the runoff of 1 and manage to survive the run up towards turn 3 and maybe down towards the bowl as well, as they jostle for position and they run round turn 4. Vandermeulen has kept the lead off the start. Muggleton's gone with him. Caparonis, Rushworth skulls the top 5. Mick Clifton on the charge early up 2. Hyde up 4. Lanyon down 4. Weston up 5 into 11th, and a great effort off the start.
Yeah, an absolute cracking start by Vandermeulen, Muggleton, Caparonis, the 3 contenders of this championship. They all got away very, very well. As long with Andrew Rushworth, he's held his position. He started P4. He currently is P4. The driver you mentioned, Steve Lane, geez, wasn't it good to see him get back into the top 5 in qualifying, Hamish? He dropped those 4 positions, which has put Ricky Hyde up 4 positions into the top 10.
And you'll notice as well, if you'd paid attention to what we said earlier, Steve Lanyon qualified in a non-numbered position on the more steepest part of the banking, right at the bottom of the hill on the start line, and he bogged it up. It's such a tough place to get the car started, and Lanyon proved that off the start line. Down 4. Randall was held up a little bit off the start. He's down 1 as well. Return to form to him tonight to be back inside of the top 10 as well. Andrew Hoffman's dropped a couple off the start, but he's still running nicely, nice and consistent. As Brett Fisher has been off the road down at the bus stop, having a straight line, and it seems he's struggling to keep this thing on the road.
Has he got some sort of damage there? The car looks fine, but that car was all sorts of fishtailing out of that bus stop, but he looks like he's got it back up to speed, dropped a ton of positions out of it as well, so hopefully we can see him push forward. He's been threatening, along with his brother from Team AJR, threatening good results all season, just quite, both of them just quite haven't got it there at times, so yeah, he'll be looking forward. He's not out of early days, Hamish, and they can absolutely, from way back in the grid, you can make serious ground here at Daytona.
It's good to see even after 8 races away, you can still bait me with puns there, Scotty. It's fantastic.
You got it, did you?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did not miss that one. Don't you worry about that. I'm just going to cash out on your puns right now. Thank you very much. As Reese DeGoey has gone round as well at turn 3, so a couple of drivers dropping early, but one of them that's not is Sean Vandermeulen, who is leading this race. And I mean, this is what you want. If you start at the front of the field, try and keep it up there and just run consistent laps. It is a long, long race, still 51 laps to go when they cross the line. So there is plenty of time to make overtakes, plenty of time to make mistakes as well. But right now, you just want to keep yourself in check as we run round the bowl and down towards the Lamar chicane, the bus stop here. And we haven't seen anything quite chaotic as we've previously seen through here just yet this evening. But of course, only lap 2, so plenty of time for a driver to forget their marking and get caught by the PSOs and cop a fine.
Yeah, it's really close throughout the whole field. To go any further than a second back gap, you have to go between P27 and P28 at this stage. Like you said, it's the second lap, but that's how close it is through the field. That's how much this draft can bring you into it. You just see Caparonis getting a run up the inside here on Muggleton. He is going to get this done. Muggleton said, I don't want any of that. You take it, Capper. I'm going to come in behind you. These guys are having a little bit of fun early here, Hamish.
They are indeed, and they're pushing early as well to get these moves done as they run it round through 2 and up towards 3. Pressure has begun to build on these drivers, but again, you're just getting into this mentality. And for those who are out there who have driven, you know, endurance races around here, whether it's through the Raw or through the D24 or even in the iRacing Endurance Series as well, you will know the best thing you can do off a race start at Daytona is get rid of the nerves early and get into that rhythm. Just push on, just get through it. It's a tough period the first few laps, Scott, at this track under endurance conditions, of just trying to make sure you don't make those simple mistakes that you can make through practice. And when you realize you're not making those mistakes anymore, that's when you can click on, and that's when you can clue in and just try and tuck in behind a car ahead, take your advantages when you can, whether they make a mistake, you get a position for free, or whether you get some free fuel saving, just use that to your advantage, because it's a long, long race and it's a long way to go, and safety cars could make it even longer tonight. We could go well over 3 hours if we're like split 3, as Jeremy Bush has gone round up onto the wall at the bolt, and he's able to drive it.
Serious damage.
That's serious damage, but if he needs a tow, well and truly this could be a safety car depending on where it is, but if he can get it back to pit lane, we could still be going green.
Yeah, it looks like he's got that underway, and he's got that banking, Hamish. He hasn't got many corners in front of him to get it into pit lane, so he might be safe there. So
he might just straight line the bus stop. He may as well just straight line. I mean, he's got a damaged car. You're going to have a slowdown anyway. Just straight line the bus stop, and then try and go for it.
Here comes Kappa. He's going to have another look on Vandermeulen, your leader, and he takes it for the lead, does Jim Caparonis. Sean Vandermeulen tucks in behind again. They're not following these boys up, Hamish. He said, hey, I think we can go a bit faster tonight, guys. Let's make the break early. And he'll drag along Sean and Matt with him, maybe Andrew Rushworth as well. This is really good racing. Good awareness by these drivers in Mullen and Vandermeulen to say, hey, Caparonis wants to lead it, Hamish. Let him have it. We'll sit him behind. We'll save a bit of fuel.
Yeah, I mean, you know, he's going for moves to get past, but they're not defending him. They're letting him have it because they know there's no point defending him at this point. The checkered flag's not flying in a lap's time. It's flying in the next 50 laps. So there's no point. You know, there's not no point defending it because you're not going to finish the race yet. B, he's not going to get away from you because you've got the tow. And unless someone behind you starts attacking you and starts costing you time, he's never going to run away. You're always going to be in tow range if you can just sit with him through the infield, and you'll get your opportunity at a later point of a race. So, you know, they're playing the smart game and it's working well for them. Andrew Rushworth at the moment, P4 on the road, just off the podium, yet to take a race win this season. We mentioned, could this be the night for him to get that first win as he gets a big gain under brakes into the bus stop? Muggleton just showing the nose a little bit there on Caparonis, maybe trying to cause mistake from him there, as Jeremy Bush has only just left pit lane after that incident on the bowl, so he may very well get caught by these guys before their first pit stop if he's not if he's unlucky, maybe.
Yeah, perhaps go a lap down. You want to get into that pit lane, get that pit exit. Something about this track is that pit exit. You can actually not lose too much time traversing pit lane here, just the way the pit exit is. I believe there'll be some rule changes perhaps in the following season regarding that. If you are starting from pit lane, as we've seen in other splits, you can gain an advantage there. So it's an interesting layout. I believe next week is very similar, the week after perhaps in Brazil as well. So yeah, some interesting tracks and how drivers adapt that, use that pit lane to their advantage. Hopefully he can get out, get his pit stop done, fast repair, get back on track and start circulating at speed.
Well, speaking of pit lanes, currently penciled in for round 1 next season, a tough pit lane. If ever I've seen it, Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps is the current penciled in race for round 1. Very interesting circuit to start out the season. That'll definitely separate some of the contenders from the pretenders early on. Now, that is not locked into, you know, it's not carved in stone by no means, but pretty much every season that we've had a penciled in calendar, it's come to fruition. So, you know, I don't know if they're going to change one track to introduce the bend next season, but I'm hopeful, but maybe not, with it being that it's so fresh. But you'd also assume, Scott, that because they're releasing the bend, it would be in the Supercars calendar its first season in iRacing, would it not?
I believe there is room to move a track there, Hamish. I'm not sure whether they will or not. They have had a new track released before and haven't taken it up. And they've had new tracks released before and have slotted it into the season. So I think they will. I think it being an Australian track, the bend, I think we'll see a track change next season. I think we'll see it in the first half of the change. of the season, but we'll definitely see it in the second half, and I think there's room there for him to slot the bend in, especially in the V8 Veterans calendar. As we see here, side by side by Van Mullen and Caparonis again. Caparonis wants this lead. He says, guys, let me take it. I'm going to try and split this field, and he has a little bit. He is broken from first to fifth. They're going with him. Blanchard is that second back now, P6. So they are starting to step up the pace here a little bit, Hamish, and try and spread this field.
They are too. Andrew Hoffman, Jim's teammate at the moment, just trying to fight his way back through the field. He's down 5 positions at the moment as they run around through turn 3. He's got Paul Burns hot on his heels, Tim Mulford just ahead, as well as Halil Cesar too. So this battle looks to heat up across the next few laps here as we are on to lap 6 of this race. So we're cutting through the laps like butter at the moment. No safety cars just yet. Nice green period here at the start of the race. How long can we go though? Because I almost feel, Scott, that especially with how Split 2's been this season, if we don't get a safety car in the next lap or two, we may not see one until possibly the very end of the race, when the race of attrition, kind of comes to an end and drivers begin to get a bit tired and a bit desperate and maybe make some mistakes, and that could really bring one out. Because how it's been this season is if we don't get one early, we never get one. But I am realistic in the fact that a long race at Daytona will often always lead to a safety car at some point.
Yeah, you'd have to almost bank on 100% a safety car being here, but you're absolutely right. You hit that 10 p.m. If we don't get one early, you hit around that 10 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, almost guaranteed for a safety car around then. So it's a long night for the drivers. It's a hard track. Yes, they're not pushing as hard as what they would be at the moment, but they're definitely thinking about it and thinking about how they can strategise and go about it. Is on board here watching Hoffy. He's got a few cars in front of him. Tim Mulford from Phoenix Racing Team. Hasn't he been driving very, very well since his induction into the V8 Veterans? He's an experienced driver. We see him make another position here. There's traffic spoilers. So he's been driving really, really well. It's been a pleasure to watch him. He's got a wealth of experience there. Got a great team behind him in the Phoenix Racing Team. A couple of young players over there who are setting the sim world on.
I mean, think about the world, Scott, in 30 odd years' time, when young Rehan Leonage is old enough to be in vets. Will vets still be around by that point? Well, we'd hope so. That would obviously still be around by then. And that guys like Rehan Leonage and Ty Delaney and even in 10 years' time, guys like James Scott and Madison Down and Blake Warboys can all compete in this series. I mean, the current best in Australia, they're only 10 or 15 years away from being in vets, and that's going to be a complete change, or a complete shift, should I say, in the skill level of the splits. And well, how different will it be by the time that those guys are in here?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, the development, the tech of it. We're in a golden age in racing. Manufacturers bringing almost monthly new equipment onto the market through their brandings and all sorts of gear. So we're in a real good golden age of sim racing and sport for choice. So it's going to be interesting to see where that takes us. Like you say, in a decade's time, where will it be? I'm sure there will be some sort of veterans racing going on, whether it's like a champions, like they have in the real life crap. Who knows how it will be? It could be 40s, could be 50s. They may split it. I really do look forward to seeing where it ends up. By then, I'm going to be an old man. You might even be racing by then, Hamish. So who knows? It could go a long, long way.
I very well could. Who knows? Maybe I'll still be broadcasting veterans by then, as we're at turn 3. Paul Burns on the inside of Hoffy. Round he goes. Ironically, his future teammate Mikey Harlan went round the outside, and now they're just trying to find a way back into the road there. But I mean, that's one of those low percentile moves I spoke about at 3. Paul, unfortunately, wasn't quite far enough up on him. Andrew turned into the corner, and well, round he went, and that may very well lead to a drive-through penalty for Paul Burns, because he wasn't far enough up on that move.
Yeah, absolutely. The way the rules are, there's been quite a bit of a chatter about it. And there's really not much you can do about it. A little bit of onus has to come on to the drivers themselves. And Split 2 has been, pretty good with it throughout the races that I've seen this season, Hamish. So, yeah, there is that ruling. You have to have that overlap on turn-in. But there is also the onus on drivers as well to make that happen, make that available, and not cut it off if you think they're coming for the move. So, unfortunately, you're right. I think Mr. Burns is going to have a bit of a penalty on his hands there.
Of course, you've been in the race control booth this season, Scott, for Split 3. Of course, Mr. Van Ree spoke about it on the Split 4 broadcast yesterday. How have you found not only being in the race control booth this season, but also, dealing with some of those challenges that Split 3 has shown you guys in that booth?
Yeah, it has been interesting. We started really, really well in Split 3, and I was absolutely stoked. I thought they'd turn over a new leaf. We'd gone 3-4 rounds. There wasn't too much. In fact, they had some of the better results with incidents throughout the league. But I can tell you, over the last 3-4 weeks, things have got heated in there. Old ways have developed again, and there's a little bit of... Well, it tends to happen this time of the year too, Hamish, where drivers, they're getting tired. They want to do the best they can, so they're taking a few more risky moves than perhaps they normally would, and others are perhaps not giving as much room as they normally would, and that's leading to a few frustrations amongst the drivers, would be the best way to say it. But like I said again, it's the onus is on us, the drivers, to make sure that we complete the overtakes fairly, but we also give the room fairly. We're not squeezing them and causing contacts and using that ruling to our advantage, which is something that no one wants to see that, Hamish. But getting back to Split 2 here, they are driving absolutely brilliantly. For my time in race control, I have absolutely thoroughly enjoyed it, Hamish, and I wasn't joking when I said I might stay on another season, though I am looking forward to getting out racing again. But it has been great in there. The guys in the race control themselves, they're absolutely fantastic. They are a wealth of knowledge, and I was very surprised about how dedicated they are to bringing the best that they can deliver for you drivers out there come race nights. So big heads up to the guys in race control throughout every split.
Yeah, it's been it's been very, very good the majority of the season. Not been too many controversies that have come about, as Matt Scholes has run it wide, at turn 1, and has now dropped outside of the top 5. He's got Chris Blanchard down just ahead of him, Mick Clifton hot on his heels, but a deep run from Matt. He's had a real resurgence of form in the last half of this season after a tough run in the first few rounds. He was away for a few weeks, he's now back again, and he's back in form, which is great to see from Scholes, maybe getting a little bit of... What could we say? Maybe some confidence in the fact that Ricky is in, with the championship battle at the moment. He could possibly win this title, and maybe that will resurge Matt back up to form for next season, where he can maybe challenge for his second Split 2 title going forward. Running a different livery, it seems, this weekend. I'm going to assume that's them mucking around with their Season 24 car, and maybe an early preview to what they could be looking like on the grid next season.
Yeah, that is a different livery that they've got going. Great to see Scholes up there. I know you're a big fan of him. We've talked about him plenty of times in the past, where perhaps he's under-delivered and he has the potential to even win this split. There's no doubt about it. Ricky Hyde, I was absolutely stoked to see him win that race a couple of weeks back there, Hamish. I thought he drove superbly. Thoroughly deserved it. It was a long time coming for him. I wouldn't be surprised, I think I said in the chat, that we may see him win another race as long as cool and calm heads prevail. He drives very, very well under those conditions.
I don't know why, I'm getting a feeling, maybe it's the fact that he's a Kiwi and he grew up driving on that sort of surface, but I have a feeling he may be a cheeky pick for the race win next week at Interlagos in those wet conditions. I mean, I don't know why, I just have a feeling maybe Ricky could be strong next week. Now, I could be completely wrong, or I could also be right, but then also compounded with, well, the other championship contenders could be strong next week as well, and then that point becomes null and void. But in saying that, he's doing a top effort this season, well within the championship fight. We mentioned it a few seasons ago where he had a tough start, Scott, that if he had put a full season together, he would be up there battling for this championship. He's put a full season together this season. He's been one of the most consistent drivers so far this season, and he's one that I think is well within the hunt and maybe a little bit overlooked by some viewers out there who aren't involved in the vets, of he could definitely win this thing. Like, he definitely could. He's so strong. I think at the moment, realistically speaking, I mean, you know, Sean and Matt and Jim have definitely got the gloss on them to try and take out this championship. I think Ricky Hyde getting a little bit pushed aside there. I think he is definitely within a shout. And then I think, you know, we can't doubt Andrew Rushworth, because his rise up the ranks, going from a Split 3 champion last season, coming into Split 2 this season and being a contender pretty much straight away, shows how much he has progressed, how much better he has gotten as a driver, and that even if he doesn't win this season, he's going to get better and better. If he does, it's going to come from the fact that he's been consistent, he's been running his own season, and sometimes that is the best strategy you can pull when racing in Split 2, is just trying to run your own race and not worry about everyone else.
You're absolutely right. We've seen that Gallen as well, who was very consistent throughout the season, got the championship over Glenn in that series, Hamish. So perhaps Rushworth is in a similar position. He needs that breakout race for himself, for his own confidence. Will it be tonight? He's got himself up into P3. He's got himself past Jim Caparonis, who showed exceptional speed at the start, but for some unknown reason, I'm sure we missed it, he dropped back a little bit. So, but he's still there. He's still within the draft there, and it's also, yeah. So he'll be happy where he is at the moment. It's just a matter of playing along with it. I think I've got Ricky Hyde not far behind, or is that another car that's a lap down in between them there,
so
Hamish?
there's Ricky, and then that's Paul Burns, who's right there. So he's come through, I believe, for his oh, no, click on them. Don't do that. I believe so. He has had a pit stop. But of course, we expect him to have a drive-through penalty coming his way, so he'll well and truly be a lap down. By the time that comes around, he'll then be relying on a safety car to get back into the swing of things as well. Andrew Hoffman in P27 at the moment, but has had a pit stop in this race, so he'll only need one more to get home. He can very easily, you know, try and fight his way back up to the top 10 with that as well. Just has to stay within the fight. His future teammate Mikey Harlan has just taken a stop. He's now exiting pit lane as well. Interesting strategies, though, that could be taken this week, Scott, with the fuel. We worked it out to be pretty much what we thought would be the two optimal strategies is, A, if you're inside the top 10, take a split strategy or maybe slightly offset. So split was about 85 litres, and you could maybe offset that 10, you know, plus 10 or minus 10 litres for your stop, depending on where you are. I've found personally as well, as Mr. Fisher joins us in the booth, I found personally as well, Scott, that throughout this season, last season, the strategy of taking slightly more fuel on your first stop is more beneficial than taking slightly less, because even though you get track position by taking slightly less, if you haven't got the pace to back it up and build up the gap that you need, then you're better off going for that slightly more fuel, use your pace to your advantage, and then get the shorter stop later and really gain strong positions.
Yeah, there is that. It has sort of lent itself a little bit, especially in these Gen 3. There is some ultimate strategies there. We do see it week in, week out, and you're correct in that, where people will take a decent fuel load in their first stop. I wouldn't be surprised if some drivers look to take the most fuel in the second stop, being that it's Daytona. We know that if you're a bit lighter, you are a little bit faster. If they're able to save fuel as well, that might lend to them thinking, hey, I can save fuel through the second stint. I'll take less and see where I end up at the end. Perhaps they might get a positive jump, a bit of it, you know, on the fuel stats, the fuel numbers there. But yeah, very, very interesting the way the strategy some of the drivers have come in for the early pit stops. I think if it was me, we haven't had a safety car, I'd be looking to run as long as possible. We're not currently at the get home lap. That's the crucial one. You want to have a pit stop done before then. Definitely you want to be almost thinking having your second pit stop done if you're doing those two early stops at that crucial get home lap, just in case there is a safety car and you can make ground that way. So that's another strategy at play as well, Hamish.
So, Mr. Fisher, who has now joined us in the booth as well, are we in for an absolute cracker tonight, is my first question.
Mate, we are in for one hell of a cracker. I tell you that right now. How are you, Scott? How are you, Hamish? Sorry I'm late, but hang on a second. I've just got to do this for a second.
We missed the can crack then, if that was a can crack.
Yeah, just to continue the party, I suppose. How's the race been so far?
How you going, Brett? I'm on the hard stuff. If you're drinking cans, I'm drinking coffee, mate. But the race has been going as probably expected and really well. We haven't had the safety car. We've got the main contenders within the championship. They're sort of working together up here towards the front. We've had a couple of little incidents throughout, but they've been able to recover, get themselves back. Probably waiting on one driver to get perhaps a drive-through penalty. That hasn't come to fruition as this way. Biggest mover inside the top 10 at the moment is Tim Mulford. He's up 8 positions. So, yeah, it's heating itself up, like you say, to a cracking race.
Oh, yeah. It is going to be a good one. And I mean, look, the championship so far, as you probably have been following, it's been building and building and building. And I think tonight's race is just going to further the build even further. Did you manage to catch myself on the start?
We managed to catch you running through the bus stop really slow for whatever reason.
Well, I completely... Well, actually, what happened is not an excuse. My wheel was just freaking out and had flashing lights on it everywhere for no apparent reason. And I'm sort of, what's going on here? And I missed my braking mark, and I've just shot straight through the bus stop. And after that, I've come out in pretty much dead last.
Yes, we did pick that one up. Very easy to do it, especially on the first lap. You get the slow down. Even the second lap, you don't want to slow down. And
No.
The bus stop is notorious for it. You get one there, you go backwards in a big way. But yeah, I suppose if you're looking for a recovery race now, you're currently up into P20. You're up 5 positions from where you started, Brett. So, yeah, going all right.
Look at this. Look at this. That's a great little, just behind them, Western. Side by side as they come into Western Yields, and
Shane finally making an overtake for, I think, the second time this season.
Yeah,
has not been one to make overtakes this season, as Western is just trying to get up
Western's
on him.
just throwing it up there. Yeah, not a real good spot for an overtaking, but he might be trying to just get a bit of exit speed out of there.
Now we mentioned it obviously earlier, Scott, as well, but it appears right now that Weston doesn't want to just let Shane go. He wants to battle him at this point. Do we think it's wise at this point of the race to be battling like this, or do you think he'd just be better just to slot him behind and maybe try and work with Shane and Tim just to fight their way forward?
It's an interesting scenario we've got going here, Hamish, is Scotty Weston. He is up 6 positions. You've got to remember that. Shane Randall, he's at 0. He made that pass, but he's up 0 positions to where he started in P9. In Mulford, the car in front, he's come through the pack. He's now up 9 positions into P8. Scotty Weston's watched him go through, gone with the passes with him. He's trying to continue to go with him, and I suspect that's why he's pushing and looking to try and make that move on Randall as quick as he can.
I think as well, maybe a little bit of, hey, you stole my position. I would like to get it back. Thank you very much. If
Perhaps there is that too.
As Sean Van Meulen comes into pit lane, so first of the front runners into the pits at this stage. I completely forgot as well. I forgot to finish the point I was making before of the 2 possible strategies. The other strategy that we thought about, or that I thought about, was you could fulfill on your first stop, try and go a bit long, but not necessarily long, but keep yourself some gap to go long if you have to, but also you can still run your 17 or 18 laps with that fuel load, but really cut down on a shorter fill later in the race. Now, that scenario probably only worked best if you're towards the back of the field and there's a safety car call, or maybe you've had a tough start, you've dropped out of the 10, maybe you're in around about 15th, and you just do that to maybe try and make up a little bit of time later in the race. The struggle that strategy would then pull out is you get put into the black hole area of, well, you could either be in incidents further back in the field, or you could really work together with them and fight your way forward. There's not much in between, but you could also end up in the position of you have no one to tow with, so you're stuck in no man's land as well.
It's an interesting one there, and what would be good to see how Brett gets the feel of his thoughts on it. But just a quick mention, Van der Meulen pitted. He didn't pit alone. Ricky Hyde went with him. Scholes went with him. Mulford went with him. Duggan went with him. And Scholes and Hyde have jumped Sean Van der Meulen through this pit stop.
He's taken a slightly longer stop here, Brett, about 44.5 seconds for Van der Meulen, which roughly works out to around about 95 litres on the stop, where Scholes and Hyde and Muggleton have all taken a split stop of 36 seconds. It's roughly 85 litres. So those guys are sticking to the split, where Van der Meulen's trying to go for a longer stint here possibly, but also really cut down on his fuel load later in the race. It may work out if they stay green. I think if there's a safety car, it may backfire at some point.
Yeah, I mean, that's what you're talking about too, is, you know, like what sort of fuel load do you take? I was going to roughly take what was it, about an 84 litre split, and I actually managed on the first stop taking a little bit more, which I was okay with because I thought, oh, well, it's just going to save me later on. But the biggest issue was actually, you know, losing the draft. It did help, you know, like I actually came out after I did my stop and I was in no man's land. I was managed to maintain roughly that, but the guys in front of me were a pack of 3 and they just pulled away. So I sort of, you know, slowly lost that draft. So it was really, really important to try and maintain a draft partner at least.
Yeah, the interesting thing, I go back to the Sean Vandermill, and I'm not sure whether he actually took on all that fuel, Hamish, or whether he had a little bit of difficulty in pit lane. That's something that we'll have to keep, and maybe that'll raise its head a little bit later. So a lot of drivers are jumping into pit lane now. Caperonis is in, Blanchard is in, Scotty Weston's in. Perhaps he used up those tyres, really trying to get that position back, but he's had enough. Brett, yourself, you're in. Lovegrove and Sean Cullen are both in as well.
So Capper's come out of pit lane in behind Muggleton, but still ahead of Ricky Hyde and Matt Scholes. That would, I mean, he had Vandermillen's pit lane travel time was a 1:24.46, but the math still adds up because it's about 10 seconds longer still than the other drivers. So whether it was that he had an issue coming into pit lane, or whether it was it maybe a speeding in pit lane penalty, Scott? I mean, do we know what happened?
That would be 40 seconds. Perhaps he missed his pit stall.
Oh, he went up and down on the jacks twice, apparently.
Yeah, it could be something like that. Could have done it. Yeah,
that's going to do it for you, isn't it?
So that will hurt him later in the race, as the race leader Andrew Rushworth is into pit lane. Mick Clifton, Shane Randall have followed him in as well. This is about as far as they could go on the fuel. Viger, Haynes, Lanyon, O'Brien, Barella in too. I'm excited to see what can happen with Brent O'Brien tonight. He has been a quiet achiever all season. The modern day Gary Buckland of Split 2. Can he fight his way forward inside the top 10 tonight as Adrian Zeal looks to come into pit lane? The provisional lead at the moment is Damon Fisher, who pit on lap 7 of this race but took a short stop, 19 seconds. So he's in for a long fill to the end and very well may only be able to go to maybe about critical lap before he can come in and take some fuel and tyres. But that is such a long stint to go on tyres. If you come in 24 or 25, you're doing 20 odd laps on that set, they are going to be hurting at the end.
I wonder whether that was a scheduled pitch stop that he did on lap 7 just to try and, I don't know. And it'd be interesting to see what Damon's take was on that, you know, that early pit stop, because where is it beneficial? I'm not sure.
I suppose it's a dice roll.
Yeah,
I guess.
For leading a lap. He's going to get Team AJ up at the front here on camera. So
Brett might be able to comment more on the desperation of his brother, but that's a pretty desperate move just to get one extra point. I mean, that's
yeah. I don't know whether that would be in his thought process, but you know, like, yeah, without him actually making the words come out of his mouth, we won't know. So if you're on the chat, Damon, let us know, because I'd be interested to know, because say the danger of that is, he wouldn't have pitted with anyone else. So, like we just talked about, the critical having someone to draft with or having someone to, you know, stick with, you're just going to lose out until you sort of fall back into someone's. You know, he's to get out of traffic. But anyway, yeah, there you go.
I mean, that's a bold strategy. I don't know if it's a very smart one, because all of a sudden you lose the toe. But maybe he was in traffic though, which were battling a little bit too hard, and he thought that was the smarter plan to go with.
Yeah, maybe he thought he was a bit quicker. And
yeah.
But as I said, you know, to me, losing a draft partner would be more hurtful than getting out of traffic. But anyway, you know, we make these decisions on the fly.
It's an interesting scenario, that, because we've only got 3 drivers in the top 10 who are currently within drafting range. The rest are out of it. So that's an interesting one. That pit stop really shook it up with different fuel loads. So as we see Blanchard really making some ground here on Vandy Millen. Vandy Millen's obviously got a heavy car. Blanchard's a little bit lighter. Will he get the overtake done? No, he's going to go another lap as we exit turn 1. Very interesting corner. How'd you find coming off the exit here of turn 1, Brett, especially with that curbing and upsetting the car with a heavy fuel load?
I was actually just thinking about it before you mentioned it, but I actually found it compared to Gen 2 a heap better. I found, because I think in Gen 2 I didn't cross that sort of like a little hump, but in Gen 3 I was able to actually just bring the car in and get it coming across from a wide exit, and it didn't seem to unsettle it as much, whether I was just getting better at throttle control or whatever it was, but I actually found turn 1 quite actually, I was confident in that.
Yeah, it's a tricky corner. You know, there is a couple of different lines through there, and interesting if the drivers, I'm sure they did read the sup brakes. Everything out to the right-hand side is considered part of the racing track, all the way up to the exit of that curb of turn 1 on the right-hand side. So, yeah, interesting scenario. I know quite a few drivers would have been aware of it and use it to their advantage throughout the night, I guess, for avoidance or taking a wider line through there, perhaps the esports line, which is very difficult to do with such a low downforce aero car.
Yeah, and as you're saying there, Scott, with the different lines, and that's what I really enjoy, actually, some of the corners that have a few different lines that you can approach with, because you can sort of get a different result and you can try a few different things to try and get an advantage, throughout the race. And see what works and what doesn't work, But it is a very, very difficult corner coming from that speed you are. Get it down the gears, get it balanced on the brake, and get it turned in nice and comfortably. It's and everyone had a different approach to it.
Well, as we begin lap 20 of 53, Damien Fisher leads the way at the moment. He has got Matt Muggleton chasing him down with Andrew Rushworth hot on his heels. So all of a sudden that gap that they had has started to dwindle, thanks to the likes of Muggleton and Rushworth working together to chase down the race leader. Jim Caperonis, Ricky Hyde inside of the top 5 as well. They'll begin to slow up, or not slow up, but begin to catch up to Rushworth and Muggleton, I'm sure, in the coming laps. Scholes is still out there in P6 at the moment. He'll be looking to work with his teammate Blanchard and Vandermeer and trying to fight their way forward as well. Dave Arney up 9 spots. He pit on lap 8, so an early pitter as well into the top 10.
Yeah.
Andrew Hoffman hot on his heels as well. So there's a couple of early pit stoppers who have stopped early, taking a lighter fuel load on the first run. They'll have to take obviously a longer pit stop on the next, but with a longer green period, the more gap that can be built, the better that will play out for those drivers who took the short fill on the very first stop, and they may find themselves in a chance of this race. And I would think as well that if they do have to pit around about critical lap of lap 26, if there is a late safety car, you're coming in for tyres, surely. I mean, it's a free pit stop. You can get tyres done quite easily, and just have the fresh rubber at the end. Oh, that's good. I mean, it's got to feel good in this sort of race, knowing that the rest of the field are on old tyres and struggling for grip.
Have a look at this move from Hoffman. That's a classic move, isn't it? Up around the outside. Can he pull it off as he comes into turn 1? He's got a heap of gap on him there, so he's done that really, really nicely. And that just goes to show you, you get in that draft, you get a good exit off that corner, and geez, you can get some pretty cracking speed down that straight.
Yeah, absolutely. And a credit to Dave Arney. He's seen it was happening. He goes, I don't want to fight this all the way to the braking zone. And he backed out of the accelerator, let Hoffy take it, and he slotted him behind. They're both going on there about their race and making ground up to P8, which is Sean Vandermeer, who's tucked in behind Blanchard. Blanchard got that move done on Vandermeer, by the way.
He did.
We're just watching also Weston and Lanyon actually battling out there. So there's some great battles up and all the way, well, not all the way up and down the field, but there's some great battles happening anyway.
Yeah, I've noticed as well, Rick's just pointed out in the chat, Brenton O'Brien took a slightly shorter fill in the first stop, roughly maybe just in the higher 70s of literage, about 30 seconds of pit stop time for Brenton. That's allowed him now to gain up to P11, and we know how good of a fuel saver he is, Scott, in trying to save his way forward. He's been the quiet achiever this season. He's been getting consistent finishes. I would not be surprised if Brenton O'Brien fuel saves and just runs a consistent race and finishes inside of the top 10 tonight. He has done it before this season. He will have plenty of laps around this track. And I feel that if anyone's going to get that top 10 now, who's just outside, it's going to be Brenton, because he's already proven himself so far this season.
I was just looking at something. Sorry, Scott. I was just looking at something in the chat there, and Hoffy said that he was working together, and it just reminded me that, you know, early in the race there was a couple of opportunities I made passes and things like that, and then, you know, a little bit shortly after that, I thought to myself, yeah, am I actually just hurting myself here, making passes when I probably should just tuck in and sort of push the two cars, you know, further forward.
It's an interesting one here as we see Scotty Weston and Steve Lanyon, and that's what I talked about. Scotty Weston said, hey, I don't want to give up this position, even though Lanyon had that draft, had the overspeed on him. He had to take the outside line, couldn't get the job done. Scotty Weston will lead him around for another lap, perhaps to the straight again before Lanyon can get another crack at him. But you can be rest assured, if Lanyon gets another go here, Hamish, he's going to send it even deeper and harder, because he's already learnt that Scotty Weston's going to fight him into turn one.
Now, you know, we saw Scott defending position earlier in the race as well, and we questioned it then. I almost feel now it's, you know, would it still be smart for him to defend like this? You know, if these guys can work together, they can easily catch Brenton, and they can then put the pressure on Brenton, and then they can catch Arnie, and then they can catch Hoffman. We saw how strong working together worked for Rushworth and Muggleton. They caught up to Fisher at the front. Capra and his Hyde may start to work together. They'll catch the drivers ahead of them. Scotty, I feel, and I'm only saying it because he's the one that's doing it at the moment. If it was anyone else, we'd still be pulling it apart just as much as we are now. But if he can clue up and start to work with Lanyon, who's shown he's got pace, then he'll benefit from that. They'll make moves and they'll be able to challenge for a top 10. I mean, it is wild how different the race strategies can be for drivers, and maybe it's my more or less endurance mindset of I'd rather work with someone to try and move forward at this point of the race than battle them at this stage. But, you know, I mean, what do you do? What do you do at this point if you're in Scott Weston's position?
Yeah, it's an interesting one, and it's probably just amplified there. Lanyon got a bad run through the midsection, or the entry midsection of the bus stop, which has separated them just for that last part of the lap. But in saying that, you've got 3-4 cars behind Lanyon. They're coming together, you know, building up, because they're getting a little bit of a blockage up ahead. They're in that draft. They're working together to catch Lanyon and Weston. And you're absolutely correct in saying, why don't Lanyon and Weston work together to catch up to O'Brien, Arnie, Hoffman? There's a potential of 3-4 positions available to those two drivers just by working together over the next 5-6 laps, gaining a little bit of gaining that second or two they need to get on the back of O'Brien.
I've got a theory, and it's just races a race. You know,
That's
like
true.
you sort of like you come out of a corner, the guy in front of you doesn't get a good exit, you know, maybe spins the wheels a bit, and you catch him, and then you get this draft and it pulls you up really close, and you go, oh, what am I going to do with it, you know? And you go, right, I'll go past. But it is, and that's exactly what I was saying, though, you know, after that earlier part of my race, that I thought, yeah, what am I doing? Just let's try and sort of like, you know, that clicked for me. But some guys, obviously, it might not. You know, they just think, okay, well, I'll go in front of this guy, and then I might get closer and get in front of the next guy, you know. But it's just different mentalities, I guess, during a race.
Hamish touched on it earlier, the endurance mentality, and I think that's what we're seeing to come to play here with some of these drivers, and some who are out there to race. And by all means, you are absolutely entitled to race your heart out. Watching Tim Mulford, he's down 5 positions after his pit stop there. I'm not sure what happened, whether he took an extra long pit stop there, Hamish, because he was driving incredibly well.
He did take an extra long pit stop. It was 49 seconds. So he took
huge.
he took roughly, I would say, about 95 litres on his stop. So he's definitely gone for the longer fuel strategy. But actually no, it'd be more like 100 litres actually. So he's taken roughly 100 litres, and he's just blown the engine into turn 1. Money shifted it.
Yeah, that engine is not healthy. It's still going, but I doubt he's going to get back around. Surely he's going to have to nurse that, Brett, to get that car back around to that pit stall.
I actually did that in practice too, and I actually did try and I got the car back around to pits, but you just got to nurse it from here, and he'd be kicking himself, absolutely kicking himself. Yeah, knowing that he's done that larger fuel load, thinking that he's got a shorter fuel load in this second stop, and now he's got a blown engine. That he'd be sort of giving himself a bit of curry on that one.
Yeah, we can see as well the build-up of oil on the front of that car, just from the issue of that car. It's probably not the best time for Phoenix to have a white car at this stage. It's going to show all those marks the rest of this race. He's running strong to try and get back to pit lane at the moment, but if he doesn't make it, well, it'll be dependent on where he pulls it up that we may see the safety car called.
Yeah, safety car. Yeah.
So we'll see how that pans out for him. Fisher's in, by the way. So Damon Fisher's in, new race leader in Andrew Rushworth.
Go Rushy. What are the, Scott, I'll be interested to see from yourself, what are some of the hardest corners on this track that you found?
Definitely turn 3 for me. I found it very difficult to pull the car up consistently at that turn. I found I was often pushing a lot harder on the brake pedal to try and get it stopped than what I would have liked, and I quite often ran it wide there or locked a little bit of a brake trying to turn in, because I was carrying too much speed before I turned in, if that makes sense. So I was pushing hard on the brake, trying to turn in earlier, hadn't washed off enough speed, lock a brake. And so that was the most difficult corner for me on this track, I would say, by fairway, actually.
And I'm the same. I found three quite difficult, and this corner here, turn 5, I think, is it? I just found that I probably didn't quite have the right line, and I couldn't get a good exit. Coming on to this same again, this corner here. Sometimes I had a great exit. Sometimes I ran there cleanly, and I think like everyone, you get excited on the gas, and the car sort of wants to wiggle on its way out. But other than that, the rest, through the bus stop, I was pumping through the bus stop. I found that I could actually gain a lot of time coming through the bus stop. And turn 1, I was pretty, like it was developing every time I went through there. It got better and better and better.
So as they enter through the Lamore chicane, once again, Weston and Lanyon continue their battle. Harlan on the back of Cesar with Randall in behind them as well. Could be a strong, consistent run from those three. Those guys have been around each other all season in Cesar, Harlan and Randall. Of course, we mentioned that both Cesar and Randall took a slightly longer stop. They both went about 40 seconds. They took the same amount of fuel on their stops, around about 95 litres, where Harlan has taken a 32-second stop. So he's taken maybe roughly around about a split for him based on his fuel usage. As Lanyon is in, I believe, because I think he may... No, he's not. It's Reese to go. His teammate absolutely tricking me is Reese. So thanks for that, Reese. Appreciate you tricking me on that one. But Lanyon has managed to get past Weston down through turn 1. He'll now look to push on and try and catch up to Brenton O'Brien. Through all that battling, though, they've given up a second to Brenton over those few laps. So now Lanyon's got some work to do to catch up to the ERT car of Brenton O'Brien in P10 now on the road.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can tell you from an ERT perspective, this strategy of Brenton's was talked about prior to the race. It's an absolute fantastic strategy if you're starting further back in the grid than where perhaps you would like. You'll see him make up a ton of ground on here. He's sitting behind Arnie. He's sitting in a slipstream. We know he's probably one of the best fuel savers within the league, and he's made ground to be able to do it, to find himself running in the top 10. Fantastic strategy by the Logitech D driver there, Brenton O'Brien.
You see as well further back, Mick Clifton. He started inside of the top 10. He's down 9 at the moment, but he's running a longer fuel strategy as well. 52.82 seconds was his fuel stop. So I'm going to roughly assume... Let's do the quick maths on that one, actually, because we'll be able to figure out the exact amount knowing the refuel rate of these cars. So if we go 52.82 divided by 2.3, no, times 2.3. I'm just going to correct 2.27 times 2.3. He took 120 litres on his stop. Now, he stopped on lap 17. So he's taken he's topped it up, basically. Maybe a little bit less than a top up, but he's probably left himself enough that he can take tyres and he'll get a nice short fill to the end. So this strategy could pay off for Mick. He's in a good draft at the moment with Rick Viger. They're trying to chase down Shane Randall, about 5.7 seconds. Comparatively for Randall and Clifton, if Randall wants to come out of pits ahead of Clifton, he's going to have to gain roughly 12 seconds of gap over him for this strategy now to work for Randall comparatively to Clifton.
Dave Arney in pits.
He is indeed. And of course, we kind of assumed that. He took the earlier stop, slightly shorter fill.
Yep.
I'd say that Hoffy may not be too... No, it's not Hoffy, that's Blanchard. Hoffy may not be too far behind him into pit lane as well. Lap 27 of this race. It is a long time on tyres to go from here to the end, but it could pay dividends for some drivers out there. So we'll see how well it pays out, but it is over 20 laps they're now going to have to do on a set of tyres. If they cannot conserve, they are going to be screaming by the end of this race, and they may be hoping for a late safety car just to dart in, as we said, take a fresh set, just have the grip to the end.
I was just reading through the chat there, Hamish, and I noticed Offie mentioned about, yes, maybe Brenton is the best fuel saver. Thanks a lot, Scott, because I did work with Offie about not saving as much fuel there at one point. But I would say to Andrew Hoffman, you are in front of Brenton O'Brien at this stage. So whatever you're doing is working, considering the start you had, mate. So keep at it. You're driving well and have been driving well, showing promise, I'd say, Hamish, is the best way to say it throughout the races, and perhaps things haven't gone his way as we see him coming into pit lane right now.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we've seen it all season, haven't we, Brett, where Hoffy started the season on a real rut of bad luck, which is kind of how his season ended last season. And then, you know, they've been having chats with Mikey Harlan, they're one of their new co-owners and drivers for next season, and he's been working with them to try and get Hoffy's confidence levels back up, but also maybe adjust his driving style as well. And what this has really done is this has now started to take some pressure off of Jim Caparonis, which we mentioned at the start of the season when he started strong, that they need to put their focus into Jim and they need to try and support Jim as best they can. At this point, the best way they could support Jim is by taking pressure off him, letting him do his thing, letting him practice how he needs to, and having someone else, you know, kind of put some focus into Hoffy to help Hoffy get back into some clean running. That's now worked out well. It's paid dividends tonight because Jim obviously qualified up the front. He's battling for a podium, could be battling for a win tonight as well. It's been a long time since his last win. That was round one. He'd love to get another win before the end of the season. Daytona would be a great place to do it. So this may now switch it up a little bit for him for the end of this season. I'll be interested in how these now team structures work out for these drivers, because obviously Jim started strong. He had a poor run in the mid part of the season. He's now started to fight back. If he can get another win, that's going to be great. There's less pressure on him within his team. If you look at the likes of Ricky Hyde, he's got full team support around him of Phoenix Racing Team, of course, from Matt Scholes, who's on his pace, Paul Burns, who on his best days with Ricky's pace as well. So these guys can now work together. Then you've got Andrew Rushworth, who's the sole Apex Esports League driver in this split. So he's having to do all this on his own. He's the Lone Ranger. He's the only one without a win. And he's almost the underdog in this story. You know, as good as Andrew has gotten, realistically speaking, he is the underdog in this story. He's the one of those 5 drivers who came up from Split 3 last season and has been on an absolute roll of form, which is great to see because, you know, where Andrew came from, which was someone who, if you were battling with him, you could maybe crack him quite easily, he is becoming a very formidable competitor on track, and I mean that in the greatest way. He is becoming one of the best drivers to watch week in and week out because he is battling tooth and nail for position. He's battling for race wins and he's battling for this championship, which is fantastic to see. He has become a stone cold fox in these battles and it's proving it every single week. So if he can keep doing what he's doing, it's going to pay off for him. The other then side of this little 5-way pack, you know, and we can talk about Sean as well. Actually, we'll talk about Sean right now. So obviously Sean, in with 9.5 Sim Sports, he's got a strong team around him, but they're all split one drivers. So you've got Luke Grundell, Logan Barnett, Sean McNamara, and then there's Sean Vandermillen, who...
Luke Grundell is with SLS, mate.
Oh, is he? Sorry, that's my mistake. Sorry.
He's got Buster McLean, who was a split one driver, very good driver.
Yes. Yes. Okay. Yes. Sorry. But you know, I mean, in saying that though, anyway, he has got a strong team around him. You know, Scott, and you of course worked with him, and you know how much stronger he's become. Yourself and I, Scotty, we predicted that Sean's going to win a championship this year. If it's this season, well, we look pretty good on that. If he goes up to split 1, that then becomes a little bit harder for our prediction to become correct. But
Look at Blanchy. Sorry, look at Blanchy on the back
he
of Van Mullen here.
and
Great move. Look at that.
Sean will be wanting to work with him here, just like he did earlier in the race. Let him through, save some fuel, could now pay off for him. So Sean's got this strong team around him. And there's Matt, who he's the only Old Mate and Sons driver in the field at the moment. Michael Quain had some struggles earlier in the season. Some other drivers had some struggles as well. So he's kind of been a lone wolf at the front of the field for Old Mate and Sons. He moves to Team AJR next season. So how does that now affect the team dynamic of Old Mate and Sons? How does that affect how he's preparing for each race each week? Is he preparing on his own? Is he preparing with other people? How is this affecting him? Team structure and team culture, we've seen it across a multitude of disciplines, whether it's racing, whether it's sim racing, whether it's football, whatever it is. Team culture is a massive part in your success in racing. And if that team's culture is not right, that may hurt Matt. Now, if he's practicing and practicing with AJR guys right now, knowing that he's going there, well, then he might be fine. But I just don't know. And we can't really talk too much into it because we don't know the dynamics of the team. We don't know how the culture's happening, how it's working. But right now, the strongest team culture that we can see is SCR with Jim Caperonis, and then very likely Ricky Hyde at 801, and then Vandy Millen at 9.5. Rushy, we're not quite sure about because he's the only Apex Esports Leagues driver in Split 2. And then there's Matt, who's another unknown as well. So how can these culture shocks help or hurt these drivers? We'll have to wait and see throughout the season, but with only 2 rounds to go, for my money, if they can get a strong run towards the end, the momentum from that could propel them to a championship. So we'll see. We'll see how it works out.
I'd just like to chip in here and say, like with team culture and stuff like that, I think there's a double-pronged, double-pronged approach to it. You as a driver have to be open to learning and, doing everything you can to actually try and improve and understanding your faults and trying to learn. And then the other one is actually from your teammates to help, get you there, trying to help you understand where you can improve and how you can get better and what you're doing, not necessarily wrong, but ways you can improve yourself and things like that. So the team culture is very, very important, I think, from a lot of aspects to sort of try and take your racing in your individual part, lift it up, find your errors, find your mistakes and learn from them. Never be too big to learn, and then also take on board, what other people are doing and not get complacent when you can't find that time, because it is there. And that's the sort of journey that I'm on at the moment myself. When I look at my racing, I sort of, I'll look at the split 1 drivers and go, geez, look at their times, and they're about a second and a half, 2 seconds quicker than me. And I go, right, what am I doing differently? How can I improve? What am I missing to try and get there? And as you say, in the team culture, when you all come together, you've all got different views. You can sometimes win over the, figure things out yourself. Sometimes you can help, have your team members to help you. Or as we see a nice little big wiggle from Caesar there. Mikey Harlan going for a pass on the inside there. So it's all dynamic. And if you don't get that right mix of people, you can sort of not move forward, and you can, be a bit stagnant. And that's the time where you really, really need to have a deep look at what you're doing. The other thing I wanted to touch on too is, as you're saying about Southern Cross Racing, it's great to see Hoffy having a few good races at this point, after coming off that start of his season. And it's great to see Jim Caperonis back up there in the pointy end of this field, because I think, like we talked about, Jim Caperonis is on a burner. He's cracking at the moment, and I think it's just a little bit of bad luck he's had. And it'd be nice to see him sort of finish this season out on a high. It's like that, when you're playing golf. Not that I've played golf over the last 5 years, but, when you hit those last couple of shots that, bring you back to the next game, I think that's what Jim needs at the moment. He needs those couple of, good finishes, good battles. And if you have a good battle, and you've got your pace and all sorts of stuff, that'll bring you back to the next season, I think,
There's some great insight in there from yous two there. So yeah, very, very well said, pair of yous. But back on track, Scholes set the fastest lap last time, has the fastest lap of the race at this stage with a 46.490. He's up one position into P5 behind his teammate Ricky Hyde, who was up 8 positions into P4. These two 801 sim racing cars, we've seen it before with Burns, Hamish. When they work together, they push forward through the field.
Looks like Muggleton's about to go for a pass on Rushworth. He's just backed out of that slightly. Sorry about that. Just a chip in there. And we've also seen Mikey Harlan closing the gap on Weston as well. So there's a couple of really close battles on track. But look at this, right up his binger there. And you'd probably nearly give him a bump run.
You can smell what he had for breakfast. Is that far
Oh,
up?
no, the front of his car is turning a different colour.
He's got a bit of green on the front of it, sniffing the back of that car so hard. But of course, Mikey, very, very heavy with oval experience, Scott. So using that oval experience to his advantage, bump drafting round the bowl, and now sets in to try and make his way past Weston when he can. But he's under pressure.
There.
Oh, he is.
Oh,
he's
big wheel.
so
Do you see under
racy.
brakes there? The car coming out sideways.
Yeah. So Cesar's car's looking very unsettled at the moment. Is there anything that maybe Halil can do, Scott, to try and settle this car a little bit more?
Yeah, he's been racing it very hard. I was watching him as you two guys were having a chat about the teams, and he is absolutely pushing that car. He's got on the back of Mikey Harley, Scotty Weston, Shane Randall. He's come along for the ride together. We've got a 4-way battle here, and that is why you see Mikey pushing Scotty Weston. He was in that awareness. He had that situation going, I can't get the overtake done. What can I do to progress us forward even further? And that's why he was
again there
down the straight.
Cesar is pushing hard. Like, I mean, I don't know. Is he overdriving that car? You know, just trying to sort of get himself in a better position there. You know, like he was right up on back of Harlan there. Is he just overdriving that car a little bit too much? And I'm just watching Randall as well. He's just sitting in the box seat at the moment. And if I was Randall, just seeing what's going up in front of me, I would just say, righto, I'm just going to sit here and not get too close to this action because things could get very lively shortly. As we see a few drivers coming to pit, Muggleton, Hyde, Scholes in pits.
So some of the front runners are in here, and those 801 sim racing drivers, Scotty, are playing to their strategy, as is your teammate, Brenton O'Brien. So is this about as far as Brenton can go on that fuel load, Scott, or is this strategic to come in slightly early?
Yeah, I'm unsure whether this is as far as he could have gone. Maybe he had a little bit more. Perhaps he felt he was getting held up. But this will be his longest stop. He will lose some positions here. It'll reset itself when everyone else gets their final stops in. Drivers are electing to go a little bit earlier. Perhaps that safety car is on the cards. They say, hey, we can make it with 20 laps to go. We've done some testing. We've got 20 laps left in this race. We've got good tyres. If we get a safety car, that'll allow them to cool off. We'll be able to go again. So drivers are taking that on as we're seeing the exit here. This is Muggleton exiting, coming out behind coloured. So let's hope that he isn't caught up in too much traffic. He can make this work and not lose positions.
I suppose the strategy may be that obviously he's faster. He can get the toe, get past Cullen and Haynes easily if he can. Now, we spoke about a few weeks ago, Brett, the defensive acumen of Sean Cullen and picking your battles. Does he pick his battle this time? Has he learned from that? Or do we reckon he's going to try and defend Muggleton like his life depends on it?
I'm not sure. I really don't know. Well, time will tell.
It will. As clocks will tell us the time
Yes,
will tell us as well.
Sand of the hourglass will pass through the thin channels of destiny.
Oh, of course they will. So Andrew Rushworth at this stage, I have a feeling at this point, I think he's actually led the most laps of this race. I mean, that's the feeling I'm getting as Blanchard comes in. So out of these front runners, I think Vandermeulen's going to be the one to go the longest. He took obviously 44.5 litres on his first stop against his own will, I might say. The fuel filler, Scott just decided, no, I'm going to put more in your car for you. You can go in a minute. Taking the strategy into his own hands. So he can go longer now than Kappa and Rushworth. Is this going to pay out for him, do you reckon? Or do we think it may only work out if we get a safety car and he can get the free pit stop at that point of the race?
It's an interesting one because his times have last lap around he ran a 48.148. Some of the other drivers like Rushworth, his last lap was a 47.6 as an example. So Sean has to be careful that going along he's not going to lose too much time, and he's not going to get undercut by too much, considering he had that poor first round of pit stops that cost him time. He's got to be careful here that he doesn't get undercut too much by the likes of Holden if they get a clean run. It looks like a few others like Scholes, Hyde, they've both got clear air ahead of him where they can utilise perhaps a little bit of those green tyres. So I'd expect Sean to be aware of that, be aware of his pace, aware of the other paces that they've undercut him at this stage. If a safety car comes out now, it will absolutely benefit him because he'll be able to take on less fuel, save a little bit of time that way.
Yep.
And we
And
can see Muggleton just displacing Haynes and Cullen, so he's made a nice move of that.
as the race leader is in, Andrew Rushworth, his final stop of the race, and Jim follows. So I expect Sean to keep going. He's got about 7 seconds worth of fuel more, so it's roughly 14 more litres than those guys, so he can go a bit further. Randall can also go a bit further. We'll see if the strategy persists or if he comes in this lap. Then I would say
just saying in the chat there that he's going for the extra point,
might as well.
knowing that hey, if you're in that in that zone, why not? An extra point won't hurt.
You would already have the
Might
extra
make the-
point from the start of the race, the leading a lap.
Yep. Oh, did he?
Yeah, he might be trying
Sorry, I
to
missed-
get. He might be
missed
trying to
that
get.
bit.
Sorry, he started on pole, so he got an extra point for that. But he might be going for
Oh,
most
yeah,
laps
yeah, yeah.
led. So he might just be trying to get most laps led, not knowing if Rushy or Muggleton have taken laps away from each other. Which is, it's a smart plan. He led quite a few laps at the start of the race. Jim's led a couple of them well. This is probably the least clear cut on who's led the most at this point, unless we were, sifting through it with a fine-tooth comb, because they've been swapping and changing the lead quite often in this race, and the further we go on, it may only get dictated by who comes out in first place at the very end. We've also got to remember that Damon Fisher also led quite a few laps thanks to his short fill strategy earlier in the race, so that's definitely taken away some lead laps for some drivers as well, but Sean will want to try and get some extra points on the board for him. Randall, about 14 odd seconds back, probably needs to pit pretty soon because he's got no one to tow with. And the guys that he was battling in Scott Weston and Halil Cesar, they have got people that they can tow with at some point. So if they begin to get into a draft train, he's going to need to come in as soon as possible so he doesn't give up too much time to them on track.
Yeah, absolutely. When we see the lap times come in from those drivers that have done their pit stops, like we've got one from Matt Mullen, his last lap was a 47.796. Van Mullen, he's lifted his game on that last lap. He's gone a 47.570. So this lighter fuel load, even with the older tyres, he's able to match some of these cars, still battling a little bit of traffic. But if we look at Ricky Hyde, fastest driver on track at the moment with a 46.896.
Tiger in pits.
Yep, Rick Feiger.
And we also look
comes
at
in.
Hamish, we also look at Rushworth closing the gap on Cullen as well.
Yeah, and
So he'd be keen to get past him. And looks like
easy.
Cullen might be coming in for pits.
So is Haynes.
It looks like Simon Haynes as well, yeah.
So that's made it so much easier now for Andrew Rushworth. So luckily for him, he's only about 2.5 seconds off the back of Muggleton. He should catch him quite easily and get into that draft once again. And this is now going to hurt Sean Vandermeulen if these guys start drafting and helping each other, because that gap is going to close incredibly quickly. It's only 36 seconds at the moment, and I know that Sean only needs a shorter stop, but he may drop outside of the top 5 if he goes for too long. As Lanyon sets the fastest lap of the race, 146.22, so he is pushing hard, maybe to get an extra point for himself here tonight by setting that fastest lap in the latter stages of this race. We are past the halfway point as well. And
he's going for a big mover around the outside. Can he hold this?
On Damon Fisher. Old tyres for Fisher, remember, pitted on lap 24. Lanyons are 10 laps newer. But luckily for Fisher, he had the inside line worked out for him. He may try and do this either on the entry to the bowl or down and towards the bus stop where he'll have the grip advantage under brakes.
Look at
That
the
was
pace
a
difference
big
there.
move.
Yeah, that was a huge move. I think if he didn't quite run into as much marbles as he did, he might have actually been able to pull that move off. But unfortunately, he just ran that little bit too wide, and he lost a lot of momentum out of that car.
I think where we'll see Lanyon look to get this done is on the exit of the bus stop. I think he'll look for those greener tyres to use as a drive through the mid section of the bus stop, coming onto that final straight or that big rounded straight. I think that's where we're going to see him look for the overtake coming down into turn one.
Randall in pits.
Yep, Shane Randall in. Lanyon not going to go for the send at the bus stop, but I think Mr. Gamble may have picked it quite correctly. He's going to try and tuck in behind on the exit and go for this move.
Rate.
Great
Good
close.
right here.
Yep, it was a fantastic close. Outside line will get some side draft, but you've got to remember he has the tyre grip to hang it out on the outside line as well. And he may try and send this around the outside into turn one if he can get the run across the tri-oval.
He's got his nose in front for a second there, but this is the hard part, is into the braking zone here. But no, clearly Damon's backed out a bit there.
Yeah, I think he knows older tyres, not worth battling. Tuck him behind, see if he can pull you forward a little bit better at this point of the race. I'll tell you what, this strategy has worked out brilliantly for Brenton O'Brien, who has just gotten past Scott Weston. He's back up to P11 after his pit stop. And with Mick Clifton and Sean Vandermeulen yet to pit, he could find himself inside the top 10 after this strategy masterclass once again of Brenton O'Brien. This could really pay dividends now. To give the update on where Randall ended up, he's ended up right in behind, about 2.4 seconds behind this battle pack of Halil Cesar and Scott Weston. So going those couple laps longer ended up hurting Randall because these guys ended up getting some slips, some toe, and it helped them gain some speed as Vandermeulen comes in.
Rushworth closing on the back end of Muggleton. Sorry, Scotty.
Yeah, this is going to be very interesting to see where that 9.5 SimSport car comes out. It's going to be absolute crucial that he gets to use the green tyres on exit if he has to make up ground. If he's in amongst a little pack, can't jump up above that P5 position and make ground, he's going to lose out here. And, but like we talked about at the start in the lead up, Hamish, it's about consolidating your races. Drivers like that
on the
are well versed in it.
As we enter
rough
one. Oh my God, Andrew! Look at that, that move there, and I think
does he hold him up?
Muggleton's coming back at him though.
Oh.
But the fact, and I think we've called quite a few of Andrew's races, Scott, when he was last in Split 2. Could you have imagined Andrew Rushworth going for that move, 3 or 4 seasons ago in Split 2?
Absolutely not. He has got the confidence up, and why not? He is driving absolutely incredibly, and that was fantastic driving between these two drivers. 2 contenders of this championship out of 5 drivers driving absolutely fantastic on the road here with their final stops done.
I'll tell you what was good to watch out of that is the foresight to actually just back out a little bit and not force the issue, because things can get really messy really quickly.
So Andrew Rushworth mentioning as well, right foot going numb by this stage of being on throttle the whole time. But I mention this because maybe it's just an endurance mindset thing, but when I race here, my left foot is making a sandwich with my right foot on the throttle pedal. My right foot's on the throttle, but my left foot is putting the pressure on it. Just to try and ease the pressure on my right and to try and save the foot a little bit for the endurance of this race. But that's one of the difficulties of this track, and then others like Le Mans, where you've got such a long straight and your foot is planted to the floor, especially with some of these heavier throttle pedals, Scott, that you've got to try and think of a way that you can alleviate some of that pressure for yourself. And personally for me, I've found that good old left foot sandwich is the best way forward.
Yeah, or if you've got a wheel with dual paddles, you just map one of those secondary paddles to a throttle and away you go.
Another look on the outside for Rushworth.
Oh, we may be calling him Big Balls Rushworth if he pulls this off again.
Same again. It's side by side. He just tucks it back into the back of Muggleton. Then same again. Great foresight. Knowing that he hasn't actually quite got that move done, to just back out that fraction and not force the issue, so they can live to fight another day.
Tell you what they do have to be careful of here, Brett, is by fighting with so many laps left to go. We've got 13 laps left to go. They had a 6+ second lead over Jim Caparonis. That has shrank now to 5.5 seconds. They keep battling. They're
Jim's
inviting
sideways.
P3, 4, 5 back into this race.
100%. And I think having those 2 dives and not actually getting them done, do you, if you're Rushworth, do you just sort of go, okay, let's just go nose to tail. Let's just stick together for a second and let everything cool down a little bit. I've had a couple of cracks at it, and let's just calm things down for a couple of laps.
So as this battle rages,
just my thought.
As this battle rages on at this stage of the race, the other battle we've been keeping an eye on all throughout, of this one here between Weston, Cesar and Randall has been going on the whole race. They've begun to chase down and catch Brett and O'Brien now in their attempt to get back inside of the top 10. Mick Clifton, through his pit stop strategy, has managed to remain inside the top 10, and Damon Fisher is dropping like a fly at the moment on those old tyres. I don't think there's any way he makes it to the end after nearly 30 laps on that rubber by the end of this race. If there is a safety car, he's coming in, Brett. He is coming in for tyres because there's no way that this set is going to survive the end, because the pace is dropping, the grip is dropping, and unfortunately his hopes and chances of a top 10 is dropping by the lap.
And you've got to realise that, you're off your normal pace. You've been putting practice laps in, and you know your time, and you're not being able to get them out. So you've got to know that your tyres are hurting.
They run down the straight. We can see O'Brien, Weston, Cesar and Randall chasing them down as well. And Cesar wants to try and get this move done on Scott Weston if he can, but he has to try and get this car planted. We've seen how loose it's been across this race and just trying to get the power down, especially in the heavier car. He mentioned it in the chat. The heavier car was just not wanting to grip up for him throughout some of these corners. That almost looked a little bit loose there off the exit of 2 as well. But he is pushing to get this car past. He wants to make this move. And that's the frustration that can build. It's still wiggling through there, even at this point of the race.
Oh, look at the show of the nose. That car has to be so unsettled. I mean,
how calm is Shane Randall? He's got the best vision of this battle going ahead. You can see Hilal Caesar in that Dynex car, absolutely fantastic colours. He's pushing it, he's wobbling it, and Shane Randall just sitting back going, well, I'm going to wait. If my turn arises, you give me an opportunity. I'm sending it in here, boys, but you keep doing what you do, I'll do what I'll do, and that's what Randall's doing.
Oh, big snap from Cesar! Oh! Big snap oversteer from Cesar on the bowl. And he tried to catch it. He tried to catch it, and it's, oh my God.
Heart bleeds for Randall there, just trying to stick, just off the action there, and unfortunately getting completely tied up in that mess that my heart goes out for him. Unfortunately,
didn't work out at all, did it?
No, it didn't. I think for future reference, if a moment happens like that for a driver, and this is talking about strategies you can play at Daytona. If you lose it on the bolt, don't try and catch it. Don't try and catch it. Just put the brakes on. If it's going to the left, that's good. If it snaps right, well, there's not much you can do about it. But if it's snapping left, just put your brakes on, because you're going to go on the infield. You're not going to hit the wall, and you're probably not going to take another driver with you. Now, Halil was very, very gracious, real gentleman. He came in after the race, apologised to Shane for that moment as well. Shane was, very understanding of it's a mistake. He didn't do it on purpose, obviously.
And that's racing, Like, I mean, look, we could see Randall was actually sitting in the box seat. He was trying to see what was going on. He could see that Cesar was trying to, really force a move, and the car had some attitude. So that's going to be building up tyre temperatures, and he's going to be losing a bit out. So, I think Randall did everything that he could do. He wasn't forcing a pass. Oh, big Mr. Drifter.
Todd Duggan.
That's a fair catch. That is a fair catch.
He is pushing right now to try and get up onto the back of Matt Storrs. He nearly, he wasn't going to lose position to Mulford because Mulford's a lap down, but he nearly ended up behind Mulford off the exit of the pits then with a blue flag. So very, very lucky. But no, I mean,
fantastic.
Hats off to Halil, who's still trying to get this back to pit lane. Hats off to Halil. He came and apologised to Shane, which was very, very gentlemanly of him to do.
And as I was saying, few moments ago, I don't know whether Randall could have done anything else. You know, you don't want to. You know, you can see this stuff happening in front of you. You want to be in a position where you can actually take advantage if something does happen, and try not put yourself into a dangerous situation. I think he was far enough off the back of the cars, as you see Haynes, is it going for a move on to Mikey Harland. But I think he did everything right, and it was just unfortunate, one of those things you get caught up in an incident and it happens.
Yeah, very, very unfortunate there for Randall. And he'd been pushed around a little bit throughout the race there, Hamish. I know he's one of your drivers, but he held his head. He showed that maturity that probably you've been looking for a long time. And I'm very impressed the way that he handled it. Unfortunately, he got in the end there. He was on for a top 15 result. Would have been a good finishing position considering some of the difficulties he's had throughout the race, but handled and matured it very, very well. So, yeah, hats off to Shane Randall. Very unfortunate.
Now, he stayed out, so he's not coming to fix his car yet. I would assume he's maybe hanging for a safety car or maybe for a pace drop to come in and try and fix that thing up. Again, though, I think he's in the same boat as Damon Fisher. If that safety car's called, he is straight in, fresh tyres, fast repair onto it and push on pretty much at this point of the race. See here as well, Sean Vandermeulen has finally started to put the switch on, and he's caught up to the back of Matt Scholes to try and find a way past him here. If you recall back to Sean Vandermeulen's first season in the Veterans of Split 2, season 18, that was the season that Matt Scholes won the championship. How full circle this moment could be for them, battling for a top 5 in this race here tonight.
It's an interesting, how you mentioned of this little battle unfolding, because I was watching Vandermeulen's time leading up till he got to the back of Scholes, and he was in the mid to high 47s. Got to Scholes, he was in the mid-high 48s. Looks for a little pass on the outside here. Probably isn't up far enough at this stage to get it done. He's going to have to hold on for another lap. Scholes hops inside, gets the nice exit here, sends it up towards turn 3. Great driving, very good awareness. Again, we've talked about it all night, driver awareness. It's been a hot topic amongst the forums, amongst the drivers, but these two are showing exactly what it's about right now.
How good has this split been, though? Like, week after week, I think last week we had a bit of an ordinary week where we had a few more incidents and things like that happen, but this split is showing to be, a really clean split, apart from obviously a few incidents here and there, but really, really great racing. A lot of respect shown on track and off track. And look, I just give it to the guys. It's a great series that we've been running this one. Just hopefully we close out the season with some epic battles and some close racing.
So as we run round towards the end of lap 44, Matt Muggleton leads the way, closely followed by Andrew Rushworth. So it's looking like we may be in for a scenario here where A, Matt Muggleton gets his 4th win of the season and he looks ahead to be a champion-elect, or B, Andrew Rushworth gets his 1st win of the season and all of a sudden it's been completely turned on its head and there's every single size of spanner, barring the 10 mil, being thrown into the basket here. So, I mean...
I get the feeling that the Jaws is hunting its prey.
Quite possibly. Very, very quite possibly. Could be the case. Further back from this battle, we mentioned Vandermeulen chasing down Matt Scholes. Steve Lanyon's trying to chase down Blanchard. Fisher's trying to hang on for his life inside of the top 10. And Scott Weston's trying to chase down Brenton O'Brien. And then there's this little trio. Haynes, Harland, and Viger. Harland has finally made his way past Rick Viger there and is now hot on the heels of Simon Haynes, trying to get back past him once again, trying to side draft as well as towards turn 1 they go.
Nice clean there move by Mikey. Sorry, Scotty.
Thinking of drivers that have driven very well, very matured this race. Rick Viger driving exceptionally well. Probably started out of position. He's up 9 positions into the top 15, sitting behind 2. Kept himself out of trouble, Hamish and Brett, and that's the key here. And he's kept his car straight. He's done some strategy calls to get himself back up into the top 15. I think that's a pretty solid drive by Rick tonight so far.
Yeah, he's done well. And as we're within 10 laps to the end now, so we got to try and start thinking about who could possibly be our drivers of the day. And since there's 3 of us, I'm just going to make the call right now that we all nominate one person, and then they're the 3. Just to give pre-notes on who is ineligible at this stage. Muggleton, he's already won it this season. Rushworth, Caperonis. I don't think Ricky Hyde's won it. Matt Scholes hasn't. Sean Vandermeulen has... I keep on forgetting if Sean has or not. I don't think he has. Blanchard hasn't. Lanyon hasn't. Clifton hasn't. Fisher hasn't. O'Brien has. So there's a couple of opportunities for this as Rushy and Muggleton into turn 1. Oh, big wiggle.
Sideways. He's still got position here.
He may get
if he can hold this. Yeah, if he can hold this out here, but loses a bit of a wiggle, but he goes in deep.
That's real deep.
Oh, he's hitting the marbles. Oh, he's overcooked it.
He has indeed, and I've just seen and heard as well, Todd Duggan is in the wall, and he's called for a tow, and it's a very unsafe position for that car to be parked. Very unsafe position.
I think it's going to have to be a safety car, isn't it?
Where's the
lead? All these top 2 drivers, you would not be wanting a safety car right now. That is probably the worst possible call that they could have. They were into a battle for P1 and 2. It was up to them how it was going to turn out. But now a safety car, that throws a whole new spanner into the network. It brings Caperonis, Hyde, Scholes, Vandermeer, Blanchard, Lanyon. It brings them all back in with a chance of taking this race or getting a podium.
All of a sudden, the pressure is right. The pressure has risen. And all of a sudden, the goosebumps appear. We're going to have... we see Randall in pits too. Yeah, of course. I mean, he was always going to come in.
Has Fisher pitted?
We'll see if Damon does. So Randall's come in, brand new car, brand new tyres. Hasn't dropped too far down, only down to P22, so that's not bad. Have not seen Damon Fisher come in yet. The goosebumps now begin to appear. We're going to have roughly 5 laps of green running to the end by the time they get the safety car and the waiver rounds done. And I think just to build the tension a little bit for everyone watching out there, we're going to take this time to thank our sponsors, Racecraft Simulations, by taking a scheduled ad break. We'll be back very, very soon with the rest of the action from Split 2. Watch the safety car, watch the drivers entering into pit lane for who takes fresh tyres to the end. It's going to be 5 to go when we come back. We'll be back very, very soon after these messages from Racecraft Simulations. All right, we are back from the ad break, and I hope you're all settled in. I hope you've got your popcorn and your drinks with you as well, because we're about to get into possibly one of the best finishes we've ever seen in a Split 2 V8 Vets race. We want to give a massive shout out to our title sponsor, Racecraft Simulations, for providing us, of course, with the mid-roll ad break for this race, but also the title sponsorship of the series. Been a long-time sponsor of the series at this point now, ever since season 18 of V8 Veterans. That's coming up on 2 years at the end of this year. If you're in the WA area, be sure to head over to 16 Grogan Road, Perth Airport, have a chat to John and the team, test out some of the rigs that they got on the floor, and if you've got a bit of spare coin, buy one of your own, and if you've got even more spare coin, maybe fork out for a PT1. It's an absolute beast. It's an absolute beast of a rig, and I'm sure there's going to be more deals Australia-wide thanks to their recent partnership with SimRigs Australia as well. And if you're not in WA, you can order them straight to your door. We also want to give a shout out to our other series sponsors, Logitech G, Parramatta, Isuzu Ute, Nova Sim Sports, Player One Sim Gear, as well as Soot Speed Gloves, LGC Images, and Chubby Buns Burgers for providing us with the Driver of the Day award. Before we go green, we're having a little chat off air of who we might put forward. And at the moment, for us, the front runners are Simon Haynes, Rick Viger, Brett Fisher, and then maybe Sean Cullen, maybe Matt Scholes. I mean, I'm not sure, but there's definitely a few options there.
I think Sean Cullen deserves a mention. I'm not sure if he qualified, whether that makes him not in it. It was me who sort of said, hey, Sean Cullen's done a great drive.
He didn't qualify. He did not qualify.
So if you didn't qualify, sorry, you don't get driver of the day. But in saying that, absolute brilliant drive by Sean to get up 15 positions for Shadow Racing up at a P20. But yeah, I do like those other three you put forward there, Hamish. I'm not sure what Brett thinks, but I think those other three had a cracking drive to be in the top 15.
I'd just like to say, the PT1. Oh. And did I hear my name there?
You did, for the second week in a row.
Ooh.
Oh. Like a little schoolgirl you are, all excited. You possibly win yourself a Chubby Buns.
I must say, like, I was in 31st at one stage there in the race, and I thought, this is going to be a shocker. So I'm happy to be where I am at the moment, so it's all good.
Just to confirm as well, Sean started from the back of the field because he had a rear of grid for a towing without perms last week. So does that cross him out still, Scott?
Yeah, absolutely it does. 100%. But it's worth mentioning it was a great drive. So what are we thinking? Those three drivers, are we, Hamish?
I think so. I think unless Matt Scholes gets it on the podium or Mick Clifton gets it into the top 5, same for Blanchard, same for Van der Meulen. Although, but if Van der Meulen would pretty much need to win for us to have him be right there. But then again, if he wins, he's ineligible. So, yeah, I think aside from maybe Scholes or Clifton, if they were to rise up a little bit, same with Lanyon, then I think those three are probably the front runners at this stage. Maybe Mikey Harlan if he gets the top 5 as well. But still long left in this race. Those nominations will be going up at the very end of the race as well. So you guys will have time to think about who you want to put forward out of those three. If it is those three, we may throw another one in for the hell of it. But safety car is going to come in, driven by the great Thomas Freeman, around towards pit lane, and Matt Muggleton is going to have control of this field. It is going to be 6 laps to go to the end. No, sorry, 5 laps to go. It is 5 laps to go because they're lap 48 at the moment. So it'll be lap 49 when they go green. 5 laps to the checkered. And the top 5 in the championship, the 5 championship contenders are all in the top 6. The only outlier in that is the rear gunner for Ricky Hyde in Matt Scholes, who's just ahead of Sean Van der Meulen at the moment.
We've talked about the pressure cooker in the past. The pressure cooker is boiling. It is absolutely peaking at the moment, and we've got the closures rate. The whole pack is condensed. What is going to happen over these last few laps? I'll tell you now that, like, guys, get your drinks, get your chips, get your comfy pants on, all that sort of stuff, because we are in for an absolute rip snorter as we close out this race at Daytona.
Muggleton puts the foot down and restarts this race to the very end. There's a bit of blinking happening from Matt Scholes in behind, But it is lap 49 of 53. It's 5 to go, and Rushworth is on the move already, trying to attack Muggleton as best he can towards the end of this race. Now, with the whole field condensed back together again, don't be surprised if we start to see not only some toing and froing, but maybe even a couple of mistakes from drivers, because they've been put into their rhythms this whole race. It was a long green period of 45 laps where they've been in their rhythms the whole time. That all of a sudden has been shaken up completely by them having to get reset once again. We mentioned Randall as Muggleton is leading. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry. Muggleton's just starting to stretch his legs a little bit with Jim Caparonis actually putting a lot of pressure on Rushworth as well. So this, like Rushworth and Muggleton were having a great little battle up the front on their own. But now, look who is in the seat behind them. Jim Caparonis. Now, he'd be hunting for a great finish here. He would be really, really looking forward to it.
So we mentioned as well, as Scott Weston is dropping down the order off the road on the entry to the bowl and now drops down. We mentioned earlier the likelihood of Damon Fisher and Shane Randall coming in to change tyres on that last stop thanks to the safety car. Both of them did it. Randall fixing his car. Fisher's now back up to P18. Randall, who was in P22, has already made a move on Matt Stoyles prior to getting onto the straight, and he wants to line up Sean Cullen. That'll give him a top 20 position at this point in a fantastic comeback in this race. He could be on possibly for a top 15 just yet, Scotty.
Rushworth closing in on Muggleton now. On the inside run, on the outside run. Can he do it on this time into turn one?
Oh my God, it is getting close. It is getting close, Scott.
He still can't do it. That's the third attempt he's had at this, and he hasn't been able to pull off. Jim Caparonis has a look on the inside too, now that Rushworth is out of position slightly. So Jim in the second spot, he'd be pumped with that.
That was an absolute fantastic opportunity move there by Jim Caparonis, getting himself up from P3 into P2 past Rushworth. Ricky Hyde, he's having a good look at this as well. He says, I wouldn't mind a bit of it. You guys keep battling. I'm going to have a look as well. But Matt Muggleton, you talked about him. He got a little bit of a jump. 0.7. We're talking 0.7 away. It seems like 2-3 seconds, but 0.7. That is a long, long way at this stage of the race to have a gap there over Jim Caparonis.
And if you're Sean Van
And still Rushworth and Hyde's. Sorry, mate. Rushworth and Hyde really closing the gap there too to Jim as well. So, like this is heating up even more. Like we are going Kelvin.
I never expected us to reference units of measurement for heat, but it's one of your best of the season. I'm going to call that right now.
Every time I think of Kelvin, it's the sun, and that is hot, and that is what this race is going to turn into by the looks of it. Rushworth, he wants that position back. He's right on the back of Caparonis. Coming on the exit of the bus stop, will he get the run? Will Ricky Hyde get the run? I don't think they did this time around, Hamish. They're going to have to settle in, do another lap, see where they can line up this overtake. The laps are falling down. They're going to have 3 more as they go around next time around.
If you're Andrew Rushworth...
53.
Yep, 50 of 53. If you're Andrew Rushworth, you're hoping that your name is not going to get changed to react to number 4 as Jim Caparonis wants it on the inside of Muggleton at 1. Caparonis is back into the lead. Could he take his second win of the season after the first at
Muggleton has a wiggle.
Hyde is right
Muggleton
there.
has a wiggle. Rushworth looking to take the opportunity now, but Muggleton actually settles the car. Rushworth all over the back of Muggleton.
Muggleton about as unsettled as an undercooked bowl of jelly. He is struggling right now in trying to hold off the hard-charging Andrew Rushworth. Ricky Hyde is right here to pick up the scraps like a dust bunny if he can. Caparonis is into the lead, and Vandermeulen has been passed by Steve Lanyon, so his woes are only worsening as he loses more positions to the 4 contenders up ahead of him as Mikey Harlan and Mick Clifton are off the road down at turn 5. Big contact, big damage. Both drivers out of this race. It now promotes Simon Haynes into the top 10, Rick Viger into P11, Brett Fisher into P12, and Brett O'Brien into P9 as well. In what has been an audacious battle to the end for these drivers. It'll be 2 to go when they cross the line, and Caparonis has got 0.6 of a second over Muggleton.
Oh, Jim Caparonis, he'd be pumping there right about now, but he's got to also be aware that this battle behind him is brewing.
Oh, Ricky Hyde! What a send from Hyde. Muggleton's had to cross the bus stop. That's a massive slowdown. Rushworth's going to come through. Ricky Hyde has tucked it back on. He'll get a slowdown as well, I'm sure. So Muggleton's had to slow it up. It is... We mentioned
Scoville.
We mentioned the sun. It's Chernobyl in Florida at the moment. It is nuclear as Ricky Hyde is now under pressure from Lanyon. Rushing up the inside of Muggleton, having to serve the slowdown into one. And it's 2 laps to go. And it's Caparonis in the lead. He is laughing right now, Scott. Lanyon's running it wide. Caparonis here, Scott, is laughing because he's almost out of tow range. And he could be close to a second victory this season if he can hold it together.
1 second. He's got 1 second, Hamish, over Rushworth. It seems like a mile. It's only a couple more laps to go for Caparonis. But see the rear of his tyres there as he came off 3. They were squirming. They were overheated. He may have some tyre problems here, guys.
The Skulls and Lanyon battling.
Lanyon, yep.
Vandermeulen is just wanting a way through. He almost needs a Yellow Pages sponsorship for 9.5 just to give him the route that he needs to get past him. Not Yellow Pages, Melways. Get it right, Hamish. As Caparonis will lead them down towards the bus stop. It's going to be 1 to go with 0.6 of a second to Andrew Rushworth. He is closing. He's in the tow, and the charge is on for Andrew Rushworth. Yet to take a race win this season. He's been on the podium a couple of times. He's been in the top 10 quite a few times. The closing rate, the wiggle into the brakes has gotten him right onto the tail of Jim Caparonis. And now he's in the tow, and the charge is going to be on for the 53rd lap of this race. For the final few kilometres of this race, it is going to be on between Rushworth and Kappa as the gap's a little bit too large to Muggleton in third.
I'll tell you what, Rushworth would be... Sorry, Scotty. Rushworth would be seeing that Jim's a little bit slower here, and he's actually taking full advantage. Jim's gone to the inside. Can Rushworth... Now, he's tried this manoeuvre a few times. Can he do anything here? No, he's backed out slightly, letting Jim take the corner. Go, Scotty.
Yeah, that was an interesting move. He had to have a look. He's got to get it done. Coming down, final lap, ladies and gentlemen. It's come down to Caparonis, Rushworth. Muggleton had that slowdown. He's out of it. He's P3. Ricky Hyde's back into P4. Vandermeulen, he's back to P6. But it's right on here, ladies and gentlemen. P1 and 2, Caparonis, Rushworth. Who's going to get to it? It's up to you, Hamish. You're going to bring us home here tonight. Let's see how these guys go.
Damon Fisher falling down the tree there as well as somebody else too. So he's at an instant further back in the pack. We'll just we won't worry about that at the moment. But Rushworth up the front with Jim Caparonis. This is going to be a cracking last half of this lap.
As they enter the bowl and the final charge to the final overtaking opportunity of the lap.
Jim.
It's a big wiggle from Caparonis as we ride on board with Rushworth and look at the gain under the tow, under the slipstream of Rushworth. Does he go for it at the bus stop? Does he show a nose, or does he wait for the exit to try and get this under the line? He looks to go for it on the inside. He breaks early. He breaks early.
Yeah,
he may have juked him. He has juked him. Caparonis has blown it up. He's absolutely blown it up. And Jim's got a massive slowdown. Rushy might have one too, but he's into the lead. And as he runs round the bowl for the final time, 53 laps, done and dusted, 300 Ks at Daytona, as Muggleton and Kappa drag race to the line. Andrew Rushworth is going to win his first race of the season in round 8 of the season to get an all-out win, as Kappa will just survive to Muggleton, hide inside the top 4. Skulls will make it a double top 5, and Vandermeulen in P6. But Rushworth, it's his day today in an all-time classic at Daytona.
Wow!
What a race! What a absolute race. Cracker!
Oh, absolute cracker. You know how those last 5 laps, unfreaking believable.
How did Jim Caparonis clear that slowdown before Muggleton overtook him and beat him to the line? That was absolutely amazing. Woo. I thought he was gone for all love and money then.
And it's just a shame. Obviously, Jim was watching the closing rate and felt the pressure. Obviously Rushworth had the car underneath him, but if Jim could have made the bus stop, I mean, I think he was going to be up for a massive challenge to try and hold Rushworth off in the closing stages to the finish line. But yeah, wow, what a finish to this race! Absolutely, I'm so glad I got to see it live. Well, as in now.
Yeah, some outstanding performances, Hamish. That was absolutely beautifully done by yourself. As we sit there, Steve Lanyon, P7, good comeback by him. Chris Blanchard up into P8. You'll be happy with that from WK&P Sim Sports. Brenton O'Brien, probably the strategy of the race, got himself up 10 positions into P9. Simon Haynes, contender for driver of the day, got himself into P10, up 16 positions. Rick Viger, another contender for driver of the day, up 13 positions into P11. Brett Fisher, fantastic race by yourself there for Shadow Racing, up 13 positions into P12. Hoffy, after a few tragedies throughout the race, got himself back up into the top 15. Dave Arney, a great race against Scotty Weston, had that little bit of an issue we've seen on the inside there, Hamish, got himself into the top 15. Well done, guys.
Yeah, it was Randall, Stoyles, Cullen, Burns and Lovegrove for the rest of the top 20. The Driver of the Day nominations are into the chat. 4 nomination opportunities for Simon Haynes, Rick Viger, Brett Fisher and Matthew Skulls in the end. I thought he did a great defensive effort to hold off that charge to try and take down Ricky Hyde. Really worked out well, so I thought he deserved a little bit of a nomination at least. So we only want to see those names in the chat, please. Simon Haynes, Rick Viger, Brett Fisher or Matt Skulls. Only 1 vote per person out of that one. The rest of the field and how they finished outside of the top 10. Well, we had Brett Taylor, Richard Barella, Halil Cesar, Tim Mulford, Adrian Zeal for the top 25, Jeremy Bush, Mick Clifton, Darren Fisher, Mikey Harlan, Todd Duggan, a lap down in P30, and then Reese DeGoey, the only non-finisher in this one as well. We'll get some B-roll going, and then we'll be able to chat to our podium finishers here tonight if they've come to have a chat to us. But I mean, it is realistically a hold-your-breath moment for those final 5 laps. The charge to the end, the change-up of positions, the controversy, the feelings that some drivers may be having. And I noticed there as well, Coleman said it, if they show in car, you'll see how Jim got a tow from Rushworth. Could have been a bit of strategy there from Rush. You'll have to ask him about it. Because it's better to have Jim beat Muggleton than have Muggleton finish ahead of Jim, where you're only gaining a few points over Matt, who's the championship leader, and now you've gained a little bit more by having Jim finish in front of him as well. So we'll get the B-roll going. We'll have a chat to our podium finishers here tonight, and it will start with, as we get those votes rolling in for the Driver of the Day award, we'll start with P2 on the road. Return to form for him is Mr. Jim Caparonis of Southern Cross Racing. Jim, a return to form and a return to the podium here tonight. We've interrupted your conversation with Andrew Rushworth. I do apologise. But what a fun...
Don't apologise. That he's here to talk to us right now.
Oh, I know.
He can talk to Hoffy at any stage.
But what... I meant Rushy, actually, not Hoffy. But,
Rushy. Sorry.
But what a final 5 laps, Jim. What a final 5 laps. After a...
It was tough.
After a long race... After a long race, that is some phenomenal driving at the end. A shame that got a little bit duped in the bus stop, went across and then got that slowdown. But that's racing, isn't it?
Yeah, most definitely. Look, so I had cooked my tyres about a couple of laps before, so I knew it was going to be tough holding him off, and I just got caught looking in the mirrors and not paying attention, missed my braking marker, and Andrew drove amazingly. He caught me out, and good luck to him. I'm so happy for him. He's done amazingly this season. I'm so happy for him. I've had a win. I'm happy with that. I'm happy for him to have his first this season.
Well, Jim,
Scotty Gamble here. Great to see you back up on the podium, mate. And I don't have a question for you tonight, but just watching it again, reliving that experience that you felt on Thursday night here via the broadcast, the job that Brett Fisher and Hamish Munro have continually done throughout this season. Geez, it must have been fantastic to sit back, watch that race, watch it from their perspectives and from the commentators' voices. I tell you what, how was that feeling for you, mate?
I tell you what,
absolutely fantastic.
The call, I was like, I had goosebumps and I knew what was going to happen from their commentary. It was amazing. It was uplifting. Oh my goodness. Yeah, that was a great call. And look, it was good to get back into the fight. I had lost the train by my pit stop strategy. So I was always bleeding time after the first pit stop. But I managed to. I got lucky. I got back into. We had a safety car, and I got back into the race. I was really worried. I had Ricky behind me, and I know how tough Ricky is racing alongside. So, but I was managed to pull away from him in the last 5 laps, which was good. But I just couldn't do it at the end. And congratulations to Andrew Rushworth.
Jim, I just want to say, fantastic to see you back up the pointy end of this field for this race. Absolutely great to see you. You know, after
thanks,
you've
Brett.
had a couple of trials and tribulations for the last few rounds, you know, you had the pace. You know, I mean, obviously the safety car brought everything together a bit there further. You were in the lead of the race. Now, I know you were saying you had your tyres going off. You know, like you had a lot of things going on, and I think I seen you in the chat saying that you looked in the mirror. Probably one of the biggest mistakes that you made.
Yeah.
But you know, like I think, and this is no detriment to yourself, but I think even if you got through that bus stop cleanly, I think Rushy was going to get you to the finish line. Now we'll never know that, but
No, I held a good line through the last, and always held a good line going into turn 1. Yeah, so I don't know. I thought if I got through the bus stop and he was behind me, I could have held him. He might have beat me to the. I don't know. It was a tough call. Depends how I got through the bus stop. If I got out better than him, I could have kept it. But if he got out, I don't know.
It would have been. Look,
one.
it would have been interesting to see. I think you were probably at the disadvantage.
Yeah, of course.
I think, look, you know, for you to come second out of that, where
I'm happy
you
with that.
could have been swamped. Yeah, you've got to be pumped with that, mate. You know, like, congratulations.
Yeah, thanks, but look, I was happy to take third. You know, based on how I was running, I was happy to take third place. I was really comfortable there. I wasn't overly pushing to try and catch him. The only reason why I was catching the 2 front guys because they were battling. I had no draft, so there was no way. I was just bleeding time initially.
Yeah.
So it was very difficult. And when the safety car came up, don't think I was happy about the safety car. I was really disappointed about it because that means the rest could catch up. That little gap, 5-second gap that I had. Now I had Ricky behind me and the rest of the field. So I was
it always
myself.
adds the pressure cooker, doesn't it? You know, like you sort of, you know what's happening in front of you and around you at the time, and then if you have safety car, you go, oh,
yeah. I was not impressed about the safety car. I was actually happy to take third place, and then when I knew who was behind me, I thought, oh my God, I'm going to go because I don't want any chance of getting, taken out by mistake, or anything like that. I mean, it almost happened to Matty, as you could see. I mean, if Matt didn't take that avoidance from, I can't remember who it was, but if he didn't take that avoidance, 2 cars would have been out of the race. So I was glad it wasn't me. I might have missed it.
Hey, Jim, curiosity's got me here. It's got the better of me. How far away from the finish line were you when you cleared that slowdown on the last lap with Matt Muggleton coming up?
Right near the line. I'm telling you, I was
knew it had to be
fortunate. I was very fortunate. I'll tell you what happened. Because Rushy had a slowdown too, I made sure I stayed behind him. And that way I can get his draft. That's the only reason why I kept second, because Matt was on the outside and he had no draft. I managed to stay on the inside, managed to catch his draft, and he actually got in front of me at one stage, Matt. And I thought
he did. I thought he had you.
Yeah, he did. He did get in front of me. And then lucky that I held the inside line. And Rushy was slowing down because of his slowdown, which helped me catch him.
Yeah.
So it gave me that. I mean, no difference really. Second, third, it's still a podium. I'm happy either way. As I said, I don't care. I was content with third. So to me, it was great. It was great either way.
Definitely a chubby bun going out to Rushy for that last little toe then, Jim.
Most definitely. I'll give him some extra sauce as well.
Great.
Well, Jim, it's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you. Absolute pleasure to talk to you once again. Let us know who helps get you and Southern Cross Racing out on track. Anyone else you wish to give a shout out to as well, for myself, Brett, Scott, and the rest of the league. Congratulations on P2.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Look, a great call. It was a pleasure to have you back in commentary, also, Mr. Scotty Gamble. I really enjoyed it. Although I do love Brett Fisher that's joined this season. He's been amazing. Thank you, Hamish. You guys have done an amazing job. And the broadcast is exceptional. I really do like it. I look forward. I tell my wife, look, we can't go out tonight. I've got to watch the broadcast every Saturday night. So I've used any excuse I can to stay home on Saturday nights. Yeah, but yeah, I just, Southern Cross Racing, the whole team has been really, really good to me. We've got a great leader in Hoff. The boys are just unbelievable. We practice together, do everything we can together. Yeah, it's been great. So looking forward to the close of this season. Unfortunately, next season, whatever may happen, we will be overseas for a good majority. We're touring overseas with the missus for the first time in 36 years being married. So we're going away for 5-6 weeks. So I might miss quite a bit of it. But I want to finish off this season off as best as I can, and whatever happens, happens.
Mate, I'm looking forward to watching you in the last two races. I'm really pumped for that.
Yeah.
Not putting any pressure on you, Jim, because
No.
but
Oh, it
I
doesn't bother
really
me.
hope that like with the closing couple of races that we've got coming is just a fantastic battle, because this
I hope so
season,
too.
yeah, this season's been fantastic. And Gentleman Jim of
Yeah.
V8 Vets, mate, you are.
Thanks, mate. I really appreciate it. Look, I'm a bit nervous. Interlagos, it is a wet weather race. Now, I don't mind the wet. I love the wet. It's just I'm worried what's going to happen around me in the wet.
Yep.
If you understand what I'm saying, that's what I'm worried about. I don't know. Being the second last race, having a wet race championship on the line for a lot. I don't know. I'm worried about it. But in saying that, it goes for everybody, and whatever happens, happens, I suppose.
Well, Jim, best of luck next week in the wet
Yeah,
at
thanks.
Interlagos.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks so much.
Thanks once again for a great broadcast. Really appreciate it.
No worries.
And good luck, everybody, all the drivers next week.
No worries. Thank you so much, Jim. Best of luck
See
next
you
week
guys.
in Interlagos.
Thank you. And congratulations to the other podium getters.
No worries, Jim. Thank you.
See you guys. Bye.
How was the commitment by Jim there, Brett, and telling his wife, look, we can't go out on a Saturday. We've got to stand back and watch Infinity Broadcast present the V8 Veterans Split 2.
Yeah, Brett. Brett.
Hats off to him. That's pretty good.
Hey! I just got told we're going out for dinner tonight. So hey, happy wife, happy life, guys.
Keep it for the Friday, Mrs. Fisher. Keep it for the Friday. We need Brett here. But next up, we have our race winner on the road tonight for the first time as a race winner in Split 2 for APS Esports League. It is Andrew Rushworth. Rushy, what a performance, mate! What a last few laps there. Intense as ever. What a way to take your first win. I mean, that's got to feel better than anything. Does that win trump Split 3 last season, or is it on par?
Well, good evening, Hamish, Brett, and Scott. For me, it trumps my win in Split 3 last season. Doesn't trump the championship victory, or equal championship victory. But for how hard the 53 laps was at Daytona, it's certainly up there for sure. It was literally just no time to even think or relax or take a breather. So hats off to Matt and Jim, putting up such a good fight towards the end. Those last couple of laps after the safety car were just like a sprint race. It was very intense.
Yeah, how you going, Andrew? I want to wind you back a few laps before the finish of this race. Coming into turn 3, you're side by side. You're looking for a move on Matt Muggleton. You send it up there. You send it in deep, and there's a little bit of a marble pick up there. What was your feeling, your moment there? Did you think, this is it now? I take it now? Or were you like, what were you feeling? What was the moment? Because that was ultimately what got you into P1.
What was that? Was that turn 1 or
turn 3 with Matt Muggleton?
Oh, just before the safety car was called?
Yeah, just after, I think it was 4 laps to go. But yeah, there was a big move up there.
Yeah,
between you and him?
I just had to try something. Yeah, I knew Matt was Matt had a lot of pace on him for the whole race, so I was just trying to get my car in front, and I was hoping that if I could get in front, I sort of knew that I could try and break that toe and pull away. And yeah, it was once Jim got around all of it, and I sort of knew that I didn't want Jim to get too far ahead, so I had no choice but to make the move on Matt, and then try and get back into the draft of Jim and put some pressure on him, knowing that there was only a lap and a half left in the race. So yeah, it kind of worked the way I wanted it into the bus stop by showing my nose, getting him to look in the mirror, and then braking early and hoping he was going to run deep, which he did. But unfortunately, I also copped a slowdown on the exit of the turn as well. So all the way to the line, I was trying to get rid of the slowdown, and the drag race was on between Matt and Jim. And I think because I stayed low on the track, Jim seemed to just tuck back into my draft, and I think that's what actually got him back ahead of Matt right on the line. So I kind of helped Jim a little bit there, which was
Yeah, it's
good
an interesting one because I seen that move there and that happening at turn 3. I seen that as a defining moment in the race, especially with only a few laps to go between yourself and Matt Muggleton. I thought that was a pivoting point where it gave you the belief, even though Jim got himself in front after that, I think it gave you the belief that you could be there, you're going to be there at the end, and you were, and you're the one who got across the line in P1. It was an absolute fantastic drive. I know Hamish and Brett and myself thoroughly enjoyed watching you drive tonight. And I think it's a really breakout drive for you and something you should be very proud of. And you've definitely sent a note out to this field here in Split 2 that you are definitely a contender for this championship, and you've stamped your name at this great racetrack here tonight for us. And that was absolutely fantastic, mate. Well done.
Yeah, thanks. I think because Matt pitted a lap or two earlier than us for the last stop, I kind of knew his tyres were a little bit older, and Jim pitted the same time as I did. So I thought that Jim's were, I wouldn't say as fresh as mine, because mine were pretty dead by the end of it as well. But once I actually got onto the back of Jim, I realised that, he was having trouble putting the power down out of corners. You could see, I think you even commented that the back of his car was wiggling there for the last 2 laps or so. And yeah, so I just tried to keep my composure and get the power down evenly out of the corners and get back into that draft, because surprising how effective the draft was here. Knowing that the new Gen 3 cars, the draft isn't as strong as what the Gen 2s were. But yeah, it was a really, really fun race the whole way through. So hats off to both of them. It was very respectful race on the whole way. And yeah, to only have the one safety car was a very tough race for 53 laps, I think.
Well, next
I
week's
think
going to
so.
be a little bit tougher, isn't it, Brett? Rain,
Oh,
possibly
yeah.
possibly more safety cars.
Bit of moisture around.
A bit of moisture around. There might be a bit of moisture in the booth on Saturday as well, just from the rain itself. But yeah, I mean, Andrew, it's an incredible race, an incredible race win. Well earned, well deserved. Been a long time coming this season. You've been close, and now you've finally gotten it done. You've ticked that box, and now you can look ahead to Interlagos next week, where you can just try and get a consistent finish, and then head out to VIR at the final round of the season, where consistency is going to be key again, and just keep doing what you're doing, because if you can continue doing that, the tide may go your way, and you may end up winning a championship this season. So, an incredible effort. Let us know, helps get you and Apex Esports League out on track. I know Steph Piccoli is probably out there drinking a couple of beers right now in celebration of you winning this race. But yeah, let us know, help you get on track. Any friends or family you want to give a shout out to? For myself, Brett, Scott, and the rest of the league, congratulations on your first win in Split 2 after taking your first win in Split 1 last season. So it's an incredible effort, and you're on an incredible run up the rise.
Yeah, thanks, Hamish. Yeah, a massive shout out to Pagnian Advanced Simulation, Next Level Racing. 5, Dubby, Fanatec, Razor, Stump Grinding Central Coast, Chubby Buns Burgers, Project 45 Designs, and Wiper Pools and Spas Services. And of course, a big thanks to the Apex Esports League and all my teammates for all the support. And with a little bit of news, I'm actually going to have some different colours on my car coming next season.
Where are you going, Andrew?
I'm actually heading to Accelerate Sim Racing.
Interesting.
So Mickey Clifton and Damien Cairns and Lorne Mackay as teammates, which will be good.
Wayne Walker too. He's absolutely flying.
Walker,
and Greg Favell as well.
And
Yes. Yeah, Anthony Visma. Fantastic team.
Visma. I'm looking forward to it. It's a big move, so hopefully I can learn some pace off those guys because they're a lot faster than I am.
Well, I know that Greg is returning to racing in some form next season by way of racing some Porsche Cups. So, you know, he might start getting back into the groove with things, and then you'll have another quick teammate to back you up as well. But Andrew, a fantastic effort. Congratulations once again. Best of luck next week into Lagos and surviving the rain. Hopefully the Mustang doesn't become a boat and instead becomes a nice smooth sailing, I don't know, Wind Waker board or something. But congrats, and yeah, best of luck next week. We look forward to seeing how you go and seeing if you're back up on the podium again.
Yeah, thanks very much, Hamish. And I've heard that the weather conditions are right up Matt Muckleton's alley, so I think he'll be a tough contender.
He does live in Tasmania, so they're used to driving in rain.
Yeah,
they quite often get that Arctic blast, don't they?
Yeah.
He's been hoping for the rain the whole season, so yeah, it's going to be a tough race, but yeah, hopefully we can all have as much fun next week as we did this week.
Hopefully we can. All right, Brett. Well, yeah, best of luck as we said, and thanks so much for coming over to chat to us.
Thank you. A massive shout out to yourself, Hamish, Scott, and Brett for the broadcast, and the V8 Veterans League and Race Control, Safety Car, and yeah, everyone behind the scenes, John Van Ree. Really, really love this league, so a big shout out. You know, it's an amazing league to be part of, and thank you guys for the broadcast every week. It's awesome.
No worries, Andrew. Thank you. Andrew Rushworth there of Apex Esports League. In an incredible effort, gets his first race win in Split 2. Now, before we break it down, just a little bit before we end, I have calculated the votes for Driver of the Day in the chat, gentlemen.
This I've been wondering about this one and how you're going to go about doing this, Hamish.
Yeah, I've been keeping this under wraps for a second here. But our Chubby Buns Burgers Driver of the Day tonight is a man who got nominated previously this season and sits in with me every single week, up 13 positions of Shadow Racing. It is Mr. Brett Fisher, our Driver of the Day this week. Not compounded with the fact that there were 25 votes coming from Ukraine and he voted for himself about just as many times. By the way, I counted them as one vote each. Thank you very much. But an incredible performance nonetheless, and I think a long time coming for you, Brett, so congratulations.
Mate, they just totally unexpected, but look, after the first lap, you know, I thought, oh, here goes a crap round again, you know. But I thought, no, just plug away, and plug away I did, and I'm absolutely stoked with that result, especially after last week, blowing the motor, you know, on the second last lap and stuff like that, and it being in a reasonable position. Thank you very much. That is awesome. Absolutely stoked.
Yeah, I think we need to emphasise how much of a good drive that was there, Brett. You're up 13 positions, got yourself into P12, got yourself behind the likes of Rick Viger, Simon Haynes, who had a fantastic drive throughout the race. So to be able to fight back, and that shows the spirit of the V8 veterans and the drivers within it, that when things aren't going right, you've done exactly what you've got to do, knuckle down, fight back, and you got the rewards tonight, mate. Well done. And on a side note, I haven't seen anyone be able to sign in with so many different accounts as what you did tonight to get the votes in. But that was absolutely fantastic.
That's why he was so silent.
Mate, I'll do my best.
I thought Gmail has a limit on how many you can have there. You've really tested my knowledge on that. But I mean, it's been an incredible race once again. Though we've got 2 spectacular rounds to come to end out our season. Of course,
Hamish, I am so pumped for these last 2 rounds. You have no idea. The cracker level is just going absolutely Chernobyl. I am so pumped for these last 2 rounds. I can't wait. I can't wait to see what's going on. I mean, look, we've got a wet race next race, and then we've got, whatever's going to happen in the last race. But, this is going to, we've had a lot of new winners, like Andrew Rushworth winning his race this week. Fantastic effort. We've had a lot of. It's just been a great season. It's just been an absolutely corker of a season, and I am absolutely stoked to see how this one plays out.
It's been one of the best seasons to date of Split 2 for the Racekraft Simulations V8 Veterans. It may go down as the best season of all time by the time we come out at the end of it. In my opinion, it's already within the top 3 best Split 2 seasons of all time, personally. From a viewer, from a broadcaster, it has been absolutely incredible. Next week, you see those clear blue skies? It's about as clear as you're going to see them for a week. Next week, it is going to be dark, grey and gloomy. Raining skies of Sao Paulo, Brazil for Interlagos at Autodromo Jose Carlos Pace.
Bring your flannies.
Well, I mean, I said it probably about 3 or 4 weeks ago when we were supposed to get rain, and then we didn't get rain at Donington. I said, well, the next possible tracks we're going to get it is either Winton or Interlagos. We didn't get it at Winton. Now we're getting it at Interlagos. So head over to Brazil. Of course,
Scotty, do you like the rain? Do you like the wet track?
Look, I haven't done too much of it within iRacing, to be fair. I think the way I think the biggest thing about racing, and for the races that I have done and the practice I have done on iRacing in the V8, I think it's all about how you set the track conditions up. That does make a bit of a difference. There was a discussion on the Discord about it, and I think a few guys had some really good points to make on that. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays into it, how drivers are going to adopt crossing that line. It will be a drying track, I believe, so it's only going to get faster. The dry line will appear. Drivers may have to make a choice, Brett, when to go onto the dries, and that is going to be absolutely crucial that they get that timing right a lap or two
and
out.
that's going to be the hard thing to sort of decipher. You could make 1 lap or 2 laps, premature, or even post, and make that mistake. You know what I mean? And it could cost you dearly.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're talking by seconds, or even, an off track that puts you over the limit, or an incident where, you have to tow. That's how much of that's going to come down to. So it's going to be interesting how drivers go about it and how they approach it in practice this week. So keep an eye on that one, ladies and gentlemen out there still watching, and see what teams are doing, and see what you can get out of it too.
Any predictions for the closing couple of rounds, Scotty, or is that just a bit too sort of up in the air, or have you got an idea of what you might see happening in the last couple of rounds?
Look, I think the way some of these drivers are driving, I think Matt Muggleton, he is driving hard and fast. He wants to get that victory for Old Mate and Sons before he joins AJR next season, which was the worst kept secret in the league of driver team changes, I think. Ricky Hyde, he's absolutely driving aggressively. But Matthew Scholes, he is an outsider there with Ricky Hyde from 801. And he could actually throw a little bit of a spanner in the works between the top 5 championship contenders at the end of this round going forward for the next 2.
Fantastic, isn't it? Absolutely. Like, everybody get on board, because we are in for a cracker.
And we'll figure out what cracker it is next week when we go racing at Interlagos. We'll head into that round with 23 points separating the top 5 in the championship. It is well and truly a 5-horse race at this point of the season. Matt Muggleton will lead us next week on 1,059 points. Ricky Hyde, 11 points behind in P2. Vandermeer in P3, 12 points behind the leader. 18 points behind the leader is Andrew Rushworth, and then that 23 points behind the leader is Jim Caparonis. All 5 of them have taken a race win this season. Will any of them double up, or will it still be with Matt Muggleton as the only multiple-time winner here in season 23? All will be explained and all will be discovered and all be answered next Saturday night, 8:30 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. Myself and Brett Fisher in the booth once again for that one out at Interlagos for the second last round of the season. Big shout out to all of our series sponsors, including our title sponsors, Racecraft Simulations, for continuing to support the veterans here as the title sponsor. As I said, 16 Grogan Road, Perth Airport is their address. If you're in the WA area, go and visit them. And check out some of the rigs that they got. They've got some pretty cool stuff over there. As well as other series sponsors, Logitech G, Paramount SSU, Player One Sim Gear, Nova Sim Sports, Sud Speed Gloves, LGC Images, and Chubby Buns Burgers for their Driver of the Day award tonight. It went the way of Brett Fisher. Next week, it could very well go to you. If you're watching on the V8 Veterans channel, be sure to hit the like button, the subscribe, the bell icon as well, so you're notified whenever we go racing here with the V8 Veterans action, whether that's Split 4 on Friday nights, Split 3 at 6:30 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, 8:30 p.m. New Zealand Standard Time, Saturday nights, or the Split 2 action at 8:30 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. And also go support SimSpeed for broadcasting live the Split 1 action as well on Thursday nights. If you're watching on the Infinity Broadcasting side, then please hit the like button, the subscribe, the bell icon as well. We'd appreciate your support over on the channel. You not only would then get notified of the V8 Vets action of Split 2 on the Saturday nights, you'd also get notified of the VRS Virtual Racing School Porsche Cup Series on the Mondays at 7:50, myself and James Parfit in the booth. And then starting next season on Fridays as well, the IRWC Rod Knock Cups, some Arcas are coming your way for some oval action on the Fridays for that series too. But big thank you to Scotty Gamble, who stepped in at the very last minutes, thinking that Brett Fisher was not going to be here on time to be in the booth with us, but then also to Brett as well for getting home as quickly as possible too, to make a pretty special night on the road. 300 Ks, you get a commentator for every 100 Ks of the race tonight. So it was a massive privilege to have not only Scott back in the booth once again, but to have Brett here once again as well. But we'll see you guys next week for the penultimate round of the season, the final droppable round of the season out at Interlagos. I've been Hamish Munro with Brett Fisher and Scott Gamble alongside. We'll see you guys next time. But until then, stay safe, drive hard, and as always, bye for now.
Can't wait to hear those engines roar. Hot days and summer nights, finish line in the sights. Can't wait to hear those engines roar. There'll be sparks flying, rubber burning, doors banging, temperatures rising. Can't wait to hear those engines roar. There'll be hot days and summer nights, finish line in the sights. Can't wait to hear those engines roar. There'll be sparks flying, rubber burning, doors banging, temperatures rising. Can't wait to hear those engines roar. They're gonna roll. Ooh, they're gonna roll.
The Racing Series is a new milestone in Logitech G.
All the great old wheels, the G29, the G920, the G923, they all have their own unique way of connecting to each other, but there's no room for expansion with those products.
So the question arose was, what if we were to give the opportunity for the racer to switch out from a drifting wheel to a GT rim?
With the wheel hubs that we've created, that's got a very specific button set, but you can replace any of the steering wheels.
And the real lovely aspect to this was we could give the user, driver and the racer the opportunity to experience different genres of race.
That allows drivers to craft high quality, customized setups that resonate with your individual racing style.
When we start with the design, we always start sketching. Very often, once we've got sketches, we start discussing with engineering.
We had 3 rounds of engineering testing or user testing where we invited in users from sim racing, and every single round of feedback we refine, the product based on what they tell us.
In the sim racing lab, again, we're going to use data to really analyze what a driver needs. We've used everything from eye tracking to the inputs from the pedals, the inputs from the, let's just say, input devices, the wheel and the pedals, the shifter. We're taking that and we're compiling it so that we can build different products based on those individuals' needs for all consumers and all drivers.
I don't know of anyone else in the industry that's actually doing this kind of research into their products to see how their products are affecting performance of their users.
We've built the product to make sure that it's as reliable as possible.
So the innovations in engineering that I'd say we're most proud of is the sequential handbrake and shifter toolless changeover. This is now a patented system, so it's really easy for the user to just switch between modes.
If you give people the tools to do what they want, they will.
They will just go off and have fun.
Introducing the Racekraft PT1, custom-built full chassis racing simulator. The design project, codenamed The Cage, an 80/40 extrusion chassis sitting on top of a Sigma Integrale DK2 Plus 4-point full motion actuator system. No compromises in the cockpit of the PT1 simulator. To maximize the experience, we start with the 49-inch ultra-wide monitor for the greatest field of view in a small footprint of the simulator, down to the SimuCube wheelbase that's tucked up and behind the monitors with SimCore extensions to get things out of the driving area. Everything is connected to a Cube Controls GTX steering wheel with the built-in dash and all the extra button functions available at your fingertips. Driving through the Raceworks S1 pedals, the potentiometer throttle and the 2 hydraulic pedals for brake and clutch ensures you maximize the feel underfoot, and seating yourself into an OMP HTER bucket racing seat with OMP belts connected to a G-belt tensioner to provide that extra feeling and the heightened experience while you're driving. Additional interfaces and accessories in the PT1, we have twin butt kickers, one on either side of the OMP seat, as well as a Jinx sequential shifter, the SimPush Race Logic timer to the left-hand side, a Racekraft built-in WinSim kit with Philips Hue lighting and a built-in soundbar, plus the OMP side net to finish off the experience in the PT1. The Racekraft PT1, build number 1, the ultimate in sim racing experience, combining the best products in the market with the passionate, no compromise approach that goes beyond racing simulation.